See. Nope.
It's loading.
Oh, okay.
Now it should.
See.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's loading.
Okay. Okay.
Now it should. Right. I will be right back.
Oh, I think we lost some viewers. Oh. Hi guys. We're just setting up. Cersei stepped away for a second, but we should be starting soon. And she also has to make some Instagram posts. But she'll be back. Hi! Oh, thanks for coming. I didn't expect anyone to come, but I really appreciate it. So today we're watching videos that a friend compiled for us, and it's the mostly the Conjuring 2 interviews from people that experienced the haunting from the Conjuring 2 film. And I also compiled some videos myself from it's kind of based on like the first Conjuring film as well as Annabelle, and also I think there's like a tour of the Ed and Lorraine Warren Museum. But I actually haven't watched any of the videos before, and Cersei hasn't watched any of the videos before, so it's gonna be a new experience for all of us. But thank you so much for being here. So excited. Are you back, Cersei? Oh.
I make the going live post. Jeez.
I've been editing these videos of us talking, and I realized that I say like a lot, and I am so sorry for that, and I'm gonna definitely work on it. Yeah, it was really nice of him. So far, I think it's just us and Chroma Cat. Let me see if I can say this name correctly. Chromatincus. Did I say it right? Thank you again for being here. I definitely don't want to put friends in a position where they feel obligated to come like every time. So I didn't really expect, I didn't have that expectation, so I just want you to know there's never pressure. But I'm so grateful for you to be here. Chromatincus. Thank you for spelling that out. Chromatincus. How'd you come up with your username?
Sorry. Every time I do stuff on Discord, it makes our cameras disappear.
What just happened?
Sorry.
Oh.
I was doing. Okay. Sorry. What did you say?
What happened?
Every time I do stuff on Discord, it makes our cameras my cameras disappear. Okay.
Oh, I think we look like we're not on YouTube.
I'm fixing it. Please be patient. Thank you. Man, I really need to fix my background. I need to get like a black curtain to put on like her so we match so it looks like we're in the same room.
There's a process where chromosomes, how do I say it, switch their chromatids. I got it. Clever.
Okay. Yeah.
So Cersei, Chroma is my friend that we met on Instagram, but we take Tagalog classes together. I consider him one of my closest friends. What Jean was like a kiss. Yeah, I was thinking that as you were describing it. I could have used chromatids, but chromatin sound better. Yeah, I like how it sounds.
I need more monitors.
Thanks for hanging in there as we're figuring out the technical stuff. Or as Cersei's figuring out. I'm really not good at technical things. So she kind of takes the lead on that.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Was it 7 videos? Now I gotta do my Instagram post and I'm good to go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 7 videos. And it equates to about an hour and 40 minutes, so it's kind of like watching a feature length. They're just different interviews. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 videos are interviews based on the families from the second film of The Conjuring, and then, like I said, I compiled videos of the real Lorraine Warren interviews, and she kind of talks about the museum, Annabelle, and I do have one interview with Ed and Lorraine Warren where they explain how to know your house is haunted. I really don't know what to expect from that, but I watched a few seconds of it and I thought it sounded interesting.
Nice. I underestimated how hot it would be. I might have to change my shirt. Alright. It's because I have to close my door so I don't wake anyone up. Okay, so got my Instagram post saying that we're watching you. Gotta make sure it posted and I gotta check the link.
Sounds good.
And sure. Oh, wait.
I see. Chromatin Kiss said maybe an ice drink will help. I don't think she heard me. How are you doing tonight?
I'll just wear my sweater on over him.
I see.
Yeah.
Did you hear? Maybe an iced drink will help.
Sprite. It's Sprite that I got at the store and I put it in a McDonald's cup. Did you get your hair done?
Me? I got it cut, but I didn't fix the color yet. I've been procrastinating.
Oh, I meant with LV.
Yeah, I did. Tired today, but was just chilling out. Watched a 3-hour movie. Oh, which movie did you watch? Was it the Indian movie? I'm good. Well, I kind of told you in my audio message what I did today, but yeah, we went to the park. It was our Filipino community here, well, the religious community here. It's called Fatima. So our Fatima prayer group hosted like a picnic. So they had like a Catholic mass, and then the picnic, and the kids just played together. So that's what we did today. Fabian going to the dogs, a German film. I haven't heard about that one. Did you like it? Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for
good.
joining.
We're good.
How
How
are
you?
This was kind of loud.
Do you want to repeat, Cersei, what your... Oh, my mic is loud?
No, I said my ice is loud.
Oh, do you want to repeat what we're doing today?
Hi, everybody. Today we are watching interviews involving The Conjuring. On YouTube, not Discord. We'll continue our movie marathon next Sunday. Speaking of that, what do you think we're watching next Sunday? Should we continue the Insidious movies?
We can create a new poll with the Insidious films and then the old stuff that was on the poll.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. Something different about the cinematography and editing. Okay, well, let me know if you recommend it.
Thank you, Witcher. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's what... Yeah, we'll do a poll for next Sunday's movie, but today we're not watching a movie, so you don't have to go on Discord to watch. We are watching everything on YouTube. If you do want to follow along, because it will be like a small screen, small box on the screen. If you want to watch it on your own, the links are in the description. Alright. We'll start in about a minute. There are 7 videos, and Angel suspects it'll be almost 2 hours long.
Well, yeah, I think I haven't actually added up the timestamps. Did you? No. Okay, so that's not included. But yeah, each video is about... Let me look. The shortest video is around 4 minutes, and the longest video is around 30 minutes. So...
You sure you don't have a particular order you want to watch them
in? Not really.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, actually the longest video is 34 minutes long, and there's 7 videos.
Should we just get the long one out of the way?
Yeah, we can. Well, so should we maybe order it in the description so that's not confusing?
Maybe we'll just go based on the description. What was the description?
Yeah.
Oh, timer's at 0. We are getting started, guys. We're getting started.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me what was first on the list? Oh wait, maybe I can do it here.
Oh, in the description, the first video is called The Conjuring 2, the Infilled Poltergeist.
Okay. And if I need to adjust any audio or anything like that, feel free to let me know, please. Now I'm cold again. Okay.
These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
They kind of look like the girls in the movies.
The same question as I asked earlier. How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know the joke.
How many really are there, Margaret?
You guys here okay?
So far we've had 10
Three.
sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute rubbish.
Is that good? Hey, crazy.
"11-year-old Janet Hodgson appears to be the focus of many of the strange happenings in Green Street. But they also affect her 14-year-old sister, Margaret, and their younger brother, Billy. One of the first manifestations was when
you see
Lego
that
bricks
comment
began
for
to fly
increasing
at
the
high
volume?
speed around the living room.
Hey, crazy.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted. Shut
Why isn't it haunted?
up. I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it. And you learn to accept the things that happen.
Thanks for letting us know, guys.
My idiot mum slung a bookshelf at Margaret.
Have you tried telling it to go away?
Yes, many times.
No answer, nothing.
And what does it reply?
No, it won't. It'll stay another 6-7 years.
The local police could find no explanation for the knocking either. They were even more baffled when two of their beat constables reported seeing an armchair levitate across the Hodgsons' living room.
It came off the floor, or
Bad
nearly a
quality.
half inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
It's just like the movie.
Maurice Gross is an electronics engineer and an investigator for the Society for Psychical Research.
Over here was Janet, and over here, in this bed here, was Margaret.
It was in the same bedroom a month later, with all the family present, that Maurice Gross first challenged the poltergeist to talk.
And this was actually the result. You'll hear here the whistling first of all, and then the barking. And here is this noise. The barking here is quite extraordinary, actually.
We got a dog in here.
I then said to it, I then, as I said on the tape here, I then said to it, if you can whistle and bark and groan, then you can talk. And I asked it to actually say my name.
Well, just a minute. Right, we'll try again. I want you to call out my name. My complete name. Maurice Gross. See if you can do that. Hello. Very good. Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name.
Say my name.
Come on, my name's Maurice. Let me hear you say it. Maurice.
Now that was the first time we heard the voice, and Since then, we've been hearing it again and again, and it's been getting louder and louder.
What about the voices? When did the voices start?
December the 12th.
December the 12th.
Yes.
And how did they start?
Well, one night Mr. Grove was talking about it about 8:30. He said, all we need now is the voices to talk. And that night I went to bed. Can't remember exactly what happened.
What's that knocking?
Yeah,
Can hear it now.
I think they did a
We was
good
doing
job
that
on
yesterday morning.
getting people looking
And
like the
Peggy
people.
was on her own, so she come in to us, because it wasn't her. She come in, we sat together and we heard it, and I counted down my knocks and there was 14 altogether, and it's doing it again now.
That was 3 knocks just now.
Yes, it goes in 3s and 2s.
how we first got contacted, this was when Mr. Gross said, if there's anyone there, knock twice for yes, and if not, one for no.
I wonder if we did that now, whether it would answer. Is anybody there? Is anybody there? Nothing. No.
It doesn't always do it to order.
No, it doesn't. It goes in spasms. Like we're talking now, it may not now after you've said that, but it won't do it when you want it to straight away. No.
What about the voices? They sometimes say things and make answers. Is that the voice now?
Yeah.
Is anybody there?
Quality so bad I can't tell who
How
crawled.
many voices are there? No.
Dirty Dick, Andrew Garner, and Stuart Thurton.
Dirty Dick, Andrew Gardner, and Stuart.
Thurton.
Oh, has he ever spelt that for you?
No.
Mr. Ghost asked him, but it's like distracted Mr. Ghost last night when he asked. Or some time ago.
And
Sorry,
what do you
go on.
think these are? Are they people or are they just voices?
Could be spirits, oh, I don't know.
I believe it's a
Ghosts
form
or
of a
something.
spirit speaking for us somehow. No. We don't get this at school, these voices are. Because I believe when we're all separate, it's not so strong.
I agree.
Just when you come near each other.
Yeah, like here.
Maybe
our
because they're
aunt's
so
all
used
like
to the
together,
paranormal.
And Peggy's next door.
And Janet's, your voice is stronger, isn't it? It seems to be the strongest.
Yeah.
When you hear the voice and it comes out, where does it come from? Here, your throat.
No.
Where do you feel it comes
Back of
from?
the neck.
I wish the quality was slightly better.
And so it must be as if it's somebody else speaking then. when you
Like-
hear
Yeah,
it.
behind us.
And do you get the feeling when you hear the voice that there is a person there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do they tell you much about themselves?
Not really, no.
They just tend to growl and
Play around and sort of joke and be silly. No.
I wonder, do you think there's anyone there just now?
Yeah. I do.
Who's that?
What?
Who's that, Janet?
Pardon? Stuart Thurton.
Stuart Certain, and he's one of the voices.
Yeah.
Why do you think he comes and speaks through you?
To annoy us.
Does he ever say anything nice?
Well. Don't know really.
Shall we
Says-
try and speak to him? No. We'll see if he'll speak to us.
Yeah.
Is anybody there?
No, no.
Who's there?
Doctor
Doctor Who?
I don't know about this.
Like watching it, or
It just doesn't seem believable. The voice.
yeah, I
Those
would definitely be
choices, yeah.
skeptical if I was watching this back in the
Mr.
day.
Gross, a lot of people,
Actually,
hearing
I'm
these
still
voices
kinda
produced by the
skeptical.
children, will simply say that they are very good ventriloquists and that this is all a hoax.
Seems like it.
How would you react to that?
Certainly not. They're certainly not very good ventriloquists. We have had tests on them to see whether they can ventriloquize. They can't. To keep up this particular type of voice for any length of time without damage to the vocal cords is absolutely impossible. I mean, there must be some hoarseness attached to it. But don't forget, these children don't do this for a couple of minutes or so. They do it for lengths of periods up to 3 hours, and without any hoarseness or sore throats whatsoever.
Gosh.
Well, perhaps you've got something to say, son.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how you make this noise without bashing Janet's vocal cords to pieces. If I do it for half a minute, I get a sore throat. Joe?
Guy Lyon Playfair is an author of books on the paranormal, with experience of poltergeist cases in Europe and Brazil.
How do you do it, mate?
God, they keep hours.
Don't you ever get a sore throat, Janet?
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
You never get pain in the back of the neck or something?
Oh, what do you
I
mean?
don't know
I'm
about that.
sorry, I'm not with you. What? I feel.
Oh, you with me now? With me?
Because it's like in the back of the neck. Yeah.
Well, tell us about that.
I don't like
No,
that.
tell me about that. You get it? Do you get it now? It's buzzing in the
When
back
you
of the neck.
talk, yeah.
Do you feel it vibrating as if it was sort of
No, like someone
someone
got
what?
their hand on the back of my neck like that.
Poltergeists seem to thrive on an atmosphere of tension that is partly sexual. The fact that most of the focuses are adolescents seems to contribute to the mischievous nature of the effects, leading some to suggest that the kids are faking or enjoying a laugh at the expense of the investigators. But to create all the bizarre effects that went on in this house either involves a gigantic conspiracy with the neighbors or a disruption in our laws of mind and matter.
Next video.
Well, before you play the next video, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. I'm not like the whole voice thing. I don't know, I'm kind of skeptical of that part, but
Yeah, I'm not really buying it either, just based on that interview.
yeah. If anyone is just tuning in, we are not watching anything on Discord today. No spooky movie. We will continue that next Sunday. We'll probably do a poll. Today we are just watching videos that are related to the Conjuring IRL videos. What
yeah,
do you-
and oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna ask chat what they thought. You guys agree?
Yeah, so that first video was based on the second Conjuring film, and it's called the Enfield Poltergeist.
I thought they did a
And-
good job. Like in the
Casting.
movie, yeah, casting.
Yeah,
that's the word.
even like the police officers.
And the house, kind of like the outside of the house, I guess. I mean, that's your typical neighborhood, right? Maybe, but still.
Yeah, so they seem to have portrayed it accurately.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
And even the voice they did in the movie, which I thought sounded silly, seeing it that it was actually a IRL thing, I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't know. like, I'm not saying, I am not like just I'm not saying that I don't believe their story. I'm just saying the whole voice thing is silly and hard for me to believe, but of course I don't know, you know.
Yeah, if that was my only evidence, I would say that it's not enough evidence. Yeah, I'm skeptical, and the reasoning that what is his role? I'm not sure. The guy playing the tapes, the audio tapes. I don't, or no, it wasn't. There was a guy. I don't know what his role was in it, but he was kind of arguing why this stuff is true and that to discredit the opposers. I don't know if his arguments made sense to me, because there's lots of actors who have to portray a certain voice for long periods of time, but maybe it's just an argument that's a victim to its time period, you know? Because this was back in the 1970s. I don't know.
I never heard of, like, I know I like reading and watching spooky things. I've never heard of it. That type of thing. Like, maybe, yes, possession, but like that, I don't know. I just don't know. Alright, should we continue?
Okay.
This is, again, all these videos we were watching, you can find the links in the description below in case you want to watch on your own.
So the second one is called the Enfield Poltergeist, England's most terrifying case of poltergeist activity.
Not unlike many parents in the North London suburb of Enfield, at around 9:30 p.m. on the night of Wednesday, August the 31st, 1977, recently divorced mum, Peggy Hodgson, heard rough housing from her children's bedroom at a time when they should have been asleep. She went upstairs to tell them to settle down and go to bed. Peggy had 4 children, 13-year-old Margaret, 11-year-old Janet, 7-year-old Billy, and John, who was 10 years old, but only home during holidays as he was in a special boarding school. But what Peggy found when she entered her children's bedroom was nothing ordinary. Her 2 girls were huddled in the corner with terrified looks on their faces. They said Bill's bed was wobbling and their chest of drawers was moving, trying to trap them in the room. Before she had time to respond, she saw the chest move. She moved it back, but it moved. As she tried to move it again, it wouldn't budge. Then she began to hear loud knocking sounds that echoed through the house. Terrified, the family ran to the neighbours, Vic and Peggy Nottingham, for help. Vic came to the home and couldn't find the cause of the strange noises that seemed to follow him as he looked around the house. So they decided to call the police. The police came to the home at 284 Green Street around 1 a.m. The officers witnessed the noises, and they checked the walls, the attic, and pipes without finding any explanation. While in the living room, they witnessed a chair move nearly 4 feet across the room, and saw the lights flickering. Although shocked, they concluded it wasn't a police matter and left. That was the beginning of the terror and haunting the family would experience for the next 18 months. During that time, there were more than over 2,000 separate reports of paranormal activity at the Enfield home, with more than 30 witnesses, including neighbours, psychic researchers and journalists. Their home became known as the House of Strange Happenings, and it's one of the UK's most terrifying haunted house stories.
Hey, Matrix.
On August the 4th, in search of help, Peggy decided to call the Daily Mirror to come and investigate the supernatural occurrences. When the Daily Mirror learned that the police had witnessed activity, the credible witness prompted them to send photographer Graham Morris. Morris came and initially saw nothing, but as he was ready to leave, he was in the kitchen and the children entered the room. As young Janet entered, objects started flying around the room. Morris was hit in the head by a Lego brick, hard enough to leave a lump. He witnessed the children's marbles flying in the air and reported that when they fell, they just dropped without rolling and were hot to the touch. Morris set up a camera in the girls' bedroom, and it was time to take a photo every 15 seconds. That evening, a stark image of Janet hovering in the middle of the bedroom was captured and soon
You could have
published
been
as evidence
jumping.
across
Just
the
kidding.
UK. The
Thanks,
Daily Mirror
Matrix.
contacted the Society for Physical Research, who put them in contact with investigator Maurice Gross. Gross first visited the home on September the 5th, and 3 days later he witnessed a loud unexplained crash and determined the claims that the family had been making to be genuine. He observed the chaos and believed the family were in a crisis. He became somewhat of a fixture in the home for the next 18 months, and he was joined by the investigation by poltergeist expert Guy Playfair. The incidents continued to escalate, and strange bangs and knocking sounds persisted. Council officials, clergymen, and others visited, but none of these determined the phenomena. Starting in December of 1977, Janet began experiencing violent trances, and claims soon spread that she would levitate and was being used by a poltergeist, while the strange bangs and knocking sounds persisted. Although her lips did not move, sounds such as whistles and dog barks seemed to be coming from her. As time went on, these sounds developed into a gruff masculine voice. Gross determined it was a poltergeist, so he tried to develop a connection with it by encouraging it to speak to him. The abuse and often obscene voice supposedly came to be that of 72-year-old Bill Wilkins, who had died in the house years before. Tape recordings were made of the creepy voice describing his death and how he had gone blind, had a hemorrhage, and fell asleep in a chair in the corner downstairs room where he had died. The spirit of Bill would sing nursery rhymes and talk through Janet for hours at a time. It claimed to be living in the house and sleeping in Janet's bed. Wilkins' son confirmed his father had died under the circumstances Janet had described. Gross diligently investigated and documented, and during his time, he recorded more than 180 hours of tapes. Meanwhile, for Janet, being used as a conduit for a long dead man seemed to be taking its toll. Gross was very concerned about what was happening to Janet and her suffering. Janet's trances became more violent, and her mother allegedly once had to intervene, when during one disturbing episode, Janet wrapped herself in a curtain, and the fabric tangled around her throat during a levitation. Janet said that she had been unaware that she went into trances until she was shown the photographs and tapes. To eliminate the possibility that Janet was herself faking the voice, Gross taped up Janet's mouth and another time filled her mouth with water. A microphone was placed in the back of her head and picked up a sound louder than her normal voice. A speech therapist analysed the phenomenon and was unable to say where the sound was coming from, nor how it was sustained. Early in January 1978, Margaret started to speak in a similar harsh voice, but without the same intensity or duration as Janet's. While the family was enduring the many strange occurrences, with small fires starting and extinguishing themselves without causing damage, strange written messages appearing on walls, and some apparitions seen, they often were subjected to various experiments and testing. One physicist, John Hasted, strapped Janet to a couch and twice found that her body increased in weight by 1 kilogram for around 5 seconds, and then returned to normal. He also witnessed a light bulb explode in a manner that was extremely rare. Another physicist, David Robertson, reported that Janet levitated, that a cushion teleported from inside the house to the roof, and that his hair was pulled as he slept alone on the floor of the front room. The girls were examined by a local psychiatrist, and Janet was given a physical and psychological assessment at London's Maudsley Institute by Dr. Peter Fenwick, but no abnormality was discovered. Janet was hypnotised and nothing unusual was found. The family also pursued various experts to end the torment. Medical doctors would prescribe medication to Janet to help her sleep. Mediums, healers, and psychics were invited into the home, which did result in short-term calm for Janet. In the meantime, objects continued to shake, doors would open and close on their own, and the iron frame of a built-in fireplace was wrenched from the wall.
Oof.
Sometimes several phenomena happened at once, some were repeated during both day and night. The story attracted considerable press coverage in British newspapers, such as the Daily Mail and Daily Mirror, and has since been the subject of books, television documentaries, and horror films. Janet was bullied at school and nicknamed Ghost Girl, and
What
her
is
brother
this
was referred
clip?
to
What are
as the
these
freak
clips
boy
from?
the ghost house, and people would spit at him in the street.
I don't know.
Of course,
I know
many
that one was
cast
from
their
the
doubt
movie,
on the
though.
events, claiming the children were behind the elaborate hoax and were faking their demonic symptoms. Professional skeptics continue to criticize the Enfield investigation. Gross and Playfair conceded that Margaret and Janet had sometimes tried to trick them, but insisted these occasions were very few. When they did trick them, they were quickly caught and admitted what they had done. The emotional atmosphere at the house and in the neighbourhood, ranging from hysteria through terror to excitement and tension, made recording data sometimes difficult for Gross and Playfair. While some called it a hoax, others considered it to be one of the most witnessed cases of supernatural activity to date. The ongoing knocking was one of the most chilling aspects of the case. It would run down the wall, fading in and out as it apparently played an unnerving game with the family, who would become so scared that they slept in the same room with the lights on, and even then would be hurled out of their beds at night. It later came to light that just before the activity started, Janet and her sister played on a Ouija board before the incidents began. The poltergeist seemed to suddenly silence in 1978, but did not leave the home. Peggy avoided publicity, but never changed her position about what she had experienced. She stayed in the home, still feeling a presence until her death from breast cancer in 2003. After Peggy died, not knowing the full history of the house, Claire Burnett and her 4 sons moved into the house. Claire said she felt uncomfortable, but didn't see anything. Her sons would apparently wake to the sound of voices after 2 months, and when one of her sons saw a man come into his room, they moved out the next day. Despite the lack of activity at the end of the 18 months, the Enfield Poltergeist still has a very disturbing presence. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the Enfield Poltergeist, and are loving all of these creepy October videos. Thanks for
Creepy October video. I do believe that playing with a Ouija board could open up the invitation to uninvited guests, including poltergeist. But I'm still questioning, like, the movie plot. Was there really a poltergeist that pawned, or wait, was that? But yeah, that pawned a ghost that pawned a girl, or is it the poltergeist and that spirit both took over the girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess hopefully we'll find out in one of these videos. Hi Matrix, hi Rockman, and thanks for everyone who just joined.
Thank you.
We just watched the second video on a list compiled between my friend and I on real life interviews and videos based on the first 2 Conjuring films.
If you wanted to follow along but like didn't want to watch it on a tiny screen, we have all the links in the description below. And we'll continue our movie marathon next Sunday. If you're new here, we usually, me and Angel, for the last 3 Sundays? I think it was 3 Sundays. This is the 4th Sunday we're live streaming. But the last 3 Sundays, we would watch the movie on Discord, but live stream our reactions on YouTube. But today we are just reacting to YouTube videos. But we'll continue the movies next Sunday. And we'll probably... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're probably going to do a poll what to watch next, but we're kind of leaning towards finishing the series. The series. What were we going to say?
We'll see what viewers want in the poll. But I was just going to say, I did find that video a little more entertaining than the first video. And maybe just because the first video just felt a little slow. But I still am skeptical based on this evidence.
Yes, me too. She could have jumped. It could levitate.
That photo, she's just very close to the bed, so it does kind of look like she's jumping. And I think in the movie, Ed Warren says, well, it just kind of looks like she's jumping.
Yeah,
and
it did.
So, from what I gather, in the real life experience, 2 of the kids have the poltergeist activity or the voice speaking through them. But I think in the movie they just simplified it. They simplified the focus to just one character, which, it works for a screen adaptation.
I just want to say I'm really sorry if you can hear the storm in my background.
What I think is interesting, I don't know, maybe we're just watching footage from the same interviews, but the girl is always wearing red, and she's wearing red too in the film, so I know they got that down, but I'm just curious why she's always wearing red.
No, not another bad quality video. That's okay. This one's longer. Right, you. But no, I mean, a part of me, yes, believes, but a part of me is questioning, because, yeah, it could have been jumping, it could have been her just speaking, but then again, I'm not very knowledgeable in poltergeist. I don't know.
Do you guys have thoughts?
Yeah, do you guys have thoughts? It's fine if you just want to lurk.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. I can't. They really, I wish that video game movies did good at casting. Or, because they did such a good job at casting.
Yeah.
The storm adds to spookiness. You can hear it. Oh, man. It's like pouring rain.
You might hear it from my end, I'm not sure. I'll wait till the end of the interviews. Well, what was I gonna say? No, I think I lost my train of thought, never mind. The next next video we're gonna watch is called The Conjuring 2, the Enfield Poltergeist BBC documentary. And it's 34 minutes long. This one is our longest video on our list.
And just to make it clear, YouTube, we do not own any of these videos. This is not our content. And the rights are in the description. Let us know if we need to adjust the audio, guys.
There's a house in a terraced street in Ponders End, North London, where the events of the past 2 months have baffled all who've heard about them and scared the life out of those who've been directly involved. This is the home of Mrs. Peggy Hodgson and her family. At the moment, the children are being looked after by relatives because Mrs. Hodgson is ill in bed. The sequence of bizarre happenings which unfolded round these children and their mother in September have made the walls of the house rattle with the impact of flying objects and the sound of mysterious knockings. Soon a second family was drawn into the action. The next-door neighbours, Peggy and Vic Nottingham.
We'd been sitting listening to the knocking, and the woman next door, she called me in. We couldn't make out what it was. I heard the knocking as I walked in the front door, but I went all over the house, checked it, checked the walls, checked everything. Just couldn't make out what it was. So in the end, I thought to myself, well, there's only one thing. I'll call the police.
One of the 2 police officers sent to investigate made the following remarkable statement about what they heard and saw in this living room. There were 4 distinct taps on the wall, and then silence. About 2 minutes later, I heard more tapping from a different wall. The other police constable checked the walls, attic, and pipes, but could find nothing to explain the knocking. The eldest son of the family pointed to a chair next to the sofa. I then saw the chair slide across the floor. It moved approximately 3 to 4 feet and then came to rest. I checked the chair, but could find nothing to explain how it had moved.
The police definitely wanted to get out of the house.
How could you tell?
Dave was as frightened as I was. And then the second night we went back in there again, and we got the same reactions again. We got this knocking. And then this here Lego. I witnessed a box of Lego underneath a chair, but I walked into the room. As I walked into the room, the Lego began to fly. But where it was coming from, I don't know. One piece hit me on the arm, and...
Did it hurt?
Oh, it brought a lump up. It caught me on the elbow, and it brought a lump up. And as I
one
say,
tiny little piece?
One tiny little piece of Lego. Now, it's not much bigger than 3/4 of an inch. But it caught me on the elbow, and as I say, it brought a lump up.
In the absence of a law against chairs that move on their own, the police were powerless to act. So the neighbours called in the man from the Society for Psychical Research. Maurice Gross is an inventor who devotes his leisure to investigating the supernatural. Since coming on the case, he's made several recordings of what he says are unique examples of a poltergeist in action. Tapes can, of course, be faked, but in this one, recorded in a bedroom after the family had gone to bed, the reactions of the Hodgson children to some very strange occurrences seem totally genuine.
All the lights gone out. Oh.
Throw the lamp right way across the room and pull it out of the socket.
The light plug was pulled from the socket 3 times after that. Then, after a period of watching and waiting, something even stranger happened.
Who's that shaking the door? Oh. What's the matter? Mum's laughing. Oh, what's that?
The slipper was thrown across the room and hit
Oh,
the door
not my one.
as I was holding the door.
My one.
The white slipper hit the door as I was holding the door.
He hit me on the leg. Where's the other one?
The other one's over here.
What sort of a case is this in your experience?
Well, I think this is probably the best case this century. In fact, as far as documentation is concerned, it may be the best case of all time.
What special aspects make it so?
Well, the entity itself has been very, very violent at times, and of course the witnesses and the documentation have been excellent. The violent things I've seen happen are the furniture moving, the furniture being thrown upside down. In fact, one night I was standing here, there were about 11 or 12 people in the room, and I was standing talking to one of the members of the family, and in front of the settee, and the settee went straight up in the air and turned upside down, right in front of me, no more than a foot away from me.
What particular tape stands out in your mind?
Well, I think one particular tape that stands out in my mind is the incident where I was communicating with it quite a long while, very seriously, and then something happened which was very funny indeed.
Knock. 1 for no and 2 for yes. Are you a male spirit? 1 for no and 2 for yes.
2.
That's 2. You are a male spirit. Did you used to live in this house? You did. Was it more than 50 years ago? Yes. Did you die in this house? Did you pass on? You did pass on in this house. Now, why are you here? Are you unhappy? You're not unhappy. But why are you here? Is it because you want to give us a special message? No. You don't want to give us a special message. Are you having a game with me? Oh, right.
Oh, crumbs.
As I asked the question, are you having a game with me? It threw the cardboard box and the pillow right in my face. Well, thank you very much. That was a very good answer.
And we was all just standing in the kitchen, all of us together. And then all of a sudden a pool of water come from nowhere in the middle of the floor in the kitchen. And then we heard the toilet chain pull. And there was no one at all out in the toilet. We was all in the kitchen. And the door opened in the toilet, then the chain went, and as we walked out there, the toilet brush came from the thing what it was in, the container, and the brush just come up and settled on top of the toilet. Just like that, as if someone had just got in there, pulled the chain and then took the brush up and to wash the toilet. And the doors, well, and then the bathroom door opens, and the kitchen table has just tipped up. And there's Janet, one of the girls, she's been just sitting on the chair and she's been thrown completely across the room.
There's a child's chair, I suppose it weighs about 10 pounds, padded one with metal legs. And the child is sleeping in a single bed one side of the room, and I was sitting on a single bed the other side of the room with his chair in the middle. The child went to sleep and all of a sudden she got a little bit restless. Well, just after that his chair was lifted off the ground and it was thrown about 9 foot through the air, a good 9 foot, for no reason whatsoever. No one was on the end of it. Didn't touch no one, just went a straight line down the room.
And what did you do?
I ran out the room again. You know, I mean, when you see these things, there's nothing on the end of them. You begin to shake.
The third family to be caught up in the story was John and Sylvia Burkham, who live a few doors away. John is Mrs. Hodgson's brother, and he and Sylvia have spent hours at the Hodgson's house, trying to help them through all the unexplained goings-on. But they've had plenty of shocks of their own.
Now, what happened in this bedroom?
Well, I heard a noise downstairs. I come up, and there was the eldest girl on the floor. But the other one's missing. So I look under this bed, I look under this one, and as I stand up, I see it. There she is, across this radio, one leg in the air, and her head hanging down. Just to prove that I wasn't mad, I yelled for my wife to come up to see what I have just seen. But she was asleep.
As a roof repairer, Vic Nottingham is used to tall stories. But he never thought he'd play a leading role in one like this.
I've got one chap at work, for instance, and he says to me, how's your ghost getting on? Now, I mean, it's no good talking to a chap like that, because he's got no reaction on it whatsoever. He thinks that I'm going round the bloody bend, like, you know what I mean? But,
do you think you are?
Well, I was straight. I mean, I'm 44, and I've never witnessed anything like it before in my life, but the only thing that worries me, see, being a roofer by trade, is beginning to get on top of you. Your nerves begin to shatter a little bit.
In every story of things that go bump in the night, there are two possibilities. One, that it's a hoax. Two, that there's something going on beyond the grasp of the human mind. If this is a hoax, it means that some of the 17 people who've seen things have been playing an elaborate and twisted joke on the others. If it isn't a hoax, it means that either those 17 people have all been having hallucinations, including the police, or this is the best documented ghost story of all time.
Where are you going?
Why you are upsetting this family? Is it because you enjoy doing it? You do enjoy doing it. Well, I suggest that now you've got...
I was in the movie.
What does that mean? Why have you done 3 knocks? Now, I ask you the question again. 2 knocks for yes, and 1 knock for no. Now, yes, that's right, you understand. Now, do you enjoy upsetting this family? You do? Well, now, will you please go away? Because I think you've had enough of your jokes. You won't go away. But I would like you to go away, and go away
because I think you've been upsetting this family long enough, and it's time you went away. You understand me? Please go away. Yes, you must go away. It's absolutely essential that you go away. No, you mustn't be obstinate. You must go away. Well, you must. I'm sorry, but you must stop annoying this family. You've had enough. You've had a good time. Now, please go away. All right? Please go away. I can't say any more to you now. Goodbye. Goodbye.
These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
I was going to ask the same question as I asked earlier. How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know the joke.
How many really are there, Margaret?
I think so far we've had 10
Three.
sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute rubbish.
Oh man.
11-year-old Janet Hodgson appears to be the focus of many of the strange happenings in Green Street. But they also affect her 14-year-old sister, Margaret, and their younger brother, Billy. One of the first manifestations was when Lego bricks began to fly at high speed around the living room.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it, and you learn to accept the things that happen.
It's slung covered at Mum. My idiot Mum. Slung a bookshelf at Margaret.
Have you tried telling it to go away?
Yes,
Yeah,
many
no
times.
answer, nothing.
And what does it reply?
No, it won't. It'll stay another 6-7 years.
The local police could find no explanation for the knocking either. They were even more baffled when two of their beat constables reported seeing an armchair levitate across the Hodgsons' living room.
It came off the floor, or nearly a half-inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
It's nice to see this in a slightly better quality than the first video.
Maurice Gross is an electronics engineer and an investigator for the Society for Psychical Research.
Over here was Janet, and over here, in this bed here, was Margaret.
It was in the same bedroom a month later, with all the family present, that Maurice Gross first challenged the poltergeist to talk.
And this was actually the result. You'll hear here the whistling first of all, and then the barking.
And here is this noise.
The barking here is quite extraordinary, actually.
We got a dog in here.
I then said to it,
I then, as I said on the tape here, I then said to it, if you can whistle and bark and groan, then you can talk. And I asked it to actually say my name.
Well, just a minute. We'll try again. I want you to call out my name, my complete name, Maurice Gross. See if you can do that. Hello. Very good. Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris.
Now that was the first time we heard the voice, and since then we've been hearing it again and again, and it's been getting louder and louder.
What about the voices? When did the voices start?
December the 12th.
December the 12th.
So accurate.
And how did they start?
Well, one night Mr. Grove was talking about it about 8:30. He said, all we need now is the voices to talk. And that night I went to bed and can't remember exactly what happened. And
What's that knocking?
yeah,
Can hear it now. I was doing that yesterday morning and Peggy was on her own. So she come in to us because it wasn't her, she come in. We sat together and we heard it. And I counted down my knocks and there was 14 altogether. And it's doing it again now.
That was 3 knocks just now.
Yes, it goes in 3s and 2s.
how we first got contacted, this was when Mr. Grove said, if there's anyone there, knock twice for yes, and if not, 1 for no.
I wonder if we did that now, whether it would answer. Is anybody there? Is anybody there?
I'm hearing both cars in the video and really.
Nothing. No.
It doesn't always do it to order.
No, it doesn't. It goes in spasms. Like we're talking now. It may not now, after you've said that, but it won't do it when you want it to, straight away. No.
What about the voices? They sometimes say things and make answers. Is that the voice now?
Yeah.
Is anybody there? How many voices are there? No.
Dirty Dick, Andrew Garner, and Stuart Thurton.
Dirty Dick, Andrew Gardner, and Stuart.
Thurton.
Oh, has he ever spelt that for you?
No.
Mr. Ghost asked him, but it's like distract Mr. Ghost last night when he asked. Or some time ago.
And
Sorry,
what do you
go.
think these are? Are they people or are they just voices?
Could be spirits, oh, I don't know.
I believe it's a
Ghost
form
or
of a
something.
spirit speaking for us somehow. No. We don't get this at school, these voices are. Because I believe when we're all separate, it's not so strong.
Just when you come near each other?
Yeah, like here, or our aunts, we were up there together, or in Peggy's next door.
And Janet's, your voice is stronger, isn't it? It seems to be the strongest.
Yeah.
When you hear the voice and it comes out, where does it come from? Here, your throat.
No.
Where do you feel it comes
Back
from?
of the neck.
Back of the neck.
And so it must be as if it's somebody else speaking then, when you hear
Yeah,
it.
behind us.
And do you get the feeling when you hear the voice that there is a person there?
Yes.
It does seem that way, Rockman.
And do they tell you much about themselves?
Not really, no.
They just tend to growl and...
Play around and sort of joke and be silly. You know.
I wonder, do you think there's anyone there just now?
Yeah, I do.
Who's that?
What?
Who's that, Janet?
Pardon? Stuart Certain.
Stuart Certain, and he's one of the voices.
Yeah.
Why do you think he comes and speaks through you?
To annoy us.
Does he ever say anything nice?
Well, don't know really.
Shall we try and speak to him? No. We'll see if he'll speak to us.
Yeah.
Is anybody there?
No.
Who's there?
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who.
Goose chasers here.
Mr. Gross, a lot of people, hearing these
just
voices
don't know
produced
if
by
I
the
believe
children,
that.
simply say that they are very good ventriloquists and that this is all a hoax. How would you react to that?
Certainly not. They're certainly not very good ventriloquists. We have had tests on them to see whether they can ventriloquize. They can't. To keep up this particular type of voice for any length of time without damage to the vocal cords is absolutely impossible. I mean, there must be some hoarseness attached to it. But don't forget, these children don't do this for a couple of minutes or so. They do it for lengths of periods up to 3 hours, and without any hoarseness or sore throats whatsoever. Well, perhaps you've got something to say to them.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how you make this noise without bashing Janet's vocal cords to pieces. If I do it for half a minute, I get a sore throat. Joe?
Guy Lyon Playfair is an author of books on the paranormal, with experience of poltergeist cases in Europe and Brazil.
How do you do it, mate?
God, they can hours.
Don't you ever get a sore throat, Janet?
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
You never get pain in the back of the neck or something?
No. Oh, what do you mean? I'm sorry, I'm not with you. What? I feel.
Oh, you with me now? With you?
Sensation in the back of the neck. Yeah.
Well, tell us about that.
I don't know how to
No, tell me
explain
about that. You get it now? It's buzzing in the back of the neck.
Yeah.
Do you feel it vibrating as if it was sort of
No, like someone
what?
got their hand on the back of my neck like that.
Poltergeists seem to thrive on an atmosphere of tension that is partly sexual. The fact that most of the focuses are adolescents seems to contribute to the mischievous nature of the effects, leading some to suggest that the kids are faking or enjoying a laugh at the expense of the investigators. But to create all the bizarre effects that went on in this house either involves a gigantic conspiracy with the neighbours or a disruption
I kind of believe the
in our
older girl.
laws
I
of
just
mind
don't know
and
if
matter.
I believe the younger girl. Like, I do believe in poltergeist, but I don't know if I think I do believe that maybe they did experience some paranormal activity, but
I'm invisible.
that voice, though.
You're invisible. Why are you invisible? G-H-O-S-T.
Because I'm a G-H-O-S-T. Yes, he had quite a sense of humour. He also used to swear a lot as well.
I'm Maurice Gross, and I'm one of Britain's leading psychic investigators. I'm 76 now, and still on the trail of ghosts and poltergeists.
Ghostbuster. The real thing.
Where are you gonna go?
In 1977, I led a team which investigated what is now regarded as the world's most famous poltergeist case,
House
the
of
Enfield
Horror.
Poltergeist.
The House
It
of
became
Strange
world
Happenings.
headlines at the time, mainly because of the strange, gruff voice that came from a girl called Janet. Hollywood soon got in on the act, and the makers of several box office hits acknowledged a debt to my case in Enfield. I've never been able to forget that voice. He called himself many names, but mostly Bill or Fred. I still listen to the 180 hours of tapes I recorded
during the investigation.
Bow, 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 the pub chip is down the street. Merrily, 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 lovely pub to trade. Now now.
This voice is coming from an 11-year-old girl.
Well, perhaps, Guy, perhaps you've got something to say.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how you make this noise without bashing Janet's vocal cords to pieces. If I do it for half a minute, I get a sore throat.
Goose chasers here.
And we found that on analysis, the voice was not made by the larynx, the voice box, but by the false vocal fold, which is above the larynx. And you only use that when you lose your voice and you talk like that. Well, if you talk like that for more than a couple of minutes, you start getting a sore throat. Talk like that for 5 minutes or so and you're going to start doing damage to your throat. And yet this voice used to speak up to 3 hours at a time. Not continuously, of course, but up to 3 hours at a time without the girl showing any distress at all. Absolutely remarkable. The voice was just part of it. The girl levitated, going from horizontal to vertical in a sixth of a second. Furniture was thrown around the rooms. The house was swarming with journalists. But after 4 days, they were baffled and frightened and called my team for help. A policewoman gave a sworn affidavit of the extraordinary activity she witnessed. Even the ghost chipped in. The death certificate confirmed the truth of what the ghost was saying. Many objects materialised out of thin air. Spoons were bent. Fires broke out spontaneously in the impoverished family's home. The family had to endure practically every known phenomena in a poltergeist case. They were traumatised. They didn't benefit financially and were ostracised by many of their local community. The Enfield Poltergeist menaced that family for 18 months. It nearly destroyed their lives. I'm going back to see them for the first time in 20 years. Janet, the girl at the centre of it all, prefers to remain anonymous, but I spoke to her mother and sister. Well, here I am at this famous house in Enfield, and here
hasn't aged a day.
Margaret and her mother, who were very, very involved in this case. You remember the day I first came?
Yes, I remember, Mr. Rose, and you was on the case ever since then, onwards, and you saw everything and took note and explained to us.
You remember when the reporters and journalists were here? How did they carry on?
I could see the fear in some of their faces also, and they probably could sense that we was dead scared and wanted to run out any minute. I know I did. My sister did, I know that.
I remember one of them came in and he explained to me that I'd got a poltergeist in the house. And I said, what on earth's that? And I nearly fainted when he told me. I didn't even know what it was. In fact, I don't think any of us did.
And we couldn't even say the word poltergeist until Mr. Groves from Psychical Research explained how to say poltergeist.
That's me.
and also what it actually meant in, was it German? Was it?
Yeah, poltergeist, noisy ghost.
In the meaning of it also, which he explained to us.
What do you say to people who say to you, with you children playing around, what do you say about that?
I say that's a matter of opinion. If you haven't experienced it, you're going to say that. But it did really happen.
It upsets me deep down to think that they can't give us an open mind, the ones that just put it down completely. But all I can say to them is I wish they can experience the same thing as what we went through. They certainly wouldn't say it was false or fake or it was child playing or anything of that kind.
The welfare of people at the centre of poltergeist activity is very important. I believe that most poltergeist activity is actually caused by very high levels of stress. Occasionally, you get paranormal entities interacting with this. And this is what I think happened at Enfield. I haven't spent all my years searching for the paranormal. Like everybody else, I had a normal life to lead. When I left
Who's that in the window?
Commercial artist. I did 2 years apprenticeship. You can see on the pictures on the wall, well, actually they are my pictures that I have done. I turned into quite a good commercial artist, in fact.
But then
He's like,
the
no
war
shame.
was looming, and I
Plug in.
joined the Royal Artillery, super heavy guns. We had to make a hasty retreat back to Dunkirk, and of course thousands of other troops. And we were
Have his moments, Cersei.
it really was rough going. I suppose I was one of the reasonably lucky ones. I got off on a destroyer.
Shameless plug.
I met Betty at a tea dance in Marble Arch. Always very
Still has
tempting
that
to go out
mustache.
and it was on a Sunday, and I met her on the Sunday, proposed to her on the Thursday, and in 10 weeks we were married. Because everybody said at the time, oh, these war
Where's the
marriages, it
carrying?
will never last, it will never last. I don't know, perhaps it won't. I mean, it's only 51 years
At
now,
all?
so I suppose. I think I can say it'll last.
I love turtles.
We've had a good life.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh.
Turtle close up. This is kind of off topic, right? What's going on?
I guess it's about him now.
A good life, that is.
I'd watch a video on a
Until
turtle
the death
farm.
of our youngest daughter,
Oh
Janet,
my.
in a road accident. Betty and I believe that Janet tried to contact us after her physical death. You might believe that was just our way of dealing with bereavement, but it was a turning point in my life. I decided to carry out serious research into the paranormal and join the Society for Psychical Research. This is now my psychic HQ. The Society is the world's leading centre for the scientific study of the paranormal. I'm the chairman of the Spontaneous Phenomena Committee. People write to us from all around the country with their strange cases, which we investigate on a non-fee paying basis. Can you recap on who he said was psychologically disturbed?
He said
What
something about...
name? Who was it? Because there's so many
That's
names.
the covering
came up.
letter, isn't it?
Yeah, on the covering letter. There's so many people mentioned
Yes, I was
there.
wondering that.
Expert in the early 60s and a retired university lecturer.
Well, I think we can dispense with that case then, yeah.
Well, what did you guys think?
Ranked
So
one of the
that's
top
3 videos out of the 7 that we have prepared. I'm still unconvinced, guys. I think they did a really great job on the aesthetics and the casting. But I'm still curious to know about where the nun came in and what Cersei said about poltergeist pawning a spirit, pawning a live person.
Based on the interviews, maybe I missed it, but based on the interviews, it sounded like multiple spirits affect the family. But in the movie, it made it seem like what Angel just said about pawning, which makes no sense and never heard of that. But again, I'm not, super knowledgeable or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to screen adaptations, they try to simplify the reality of it. If a poltergeist cleans toilets, I wouldn't really mind that. I hate cleaning toilets.
I don't think he cleaned the toilet. I think he was hinting that the toilet needed to be cleaned.
Some shade. Or that's passive aggressiveness.
I don't know.
When they mentioned how she was on top of the radio, I wonder if they used that part for that to inspire the part where she's kind of tangled in, was it a closet or something? I don't remember in the movie. Do you remember that? It's kind of like all tangled in herself. Don't remember.
No.
Yeah, they recorded audio from that in the movie where she says, I don't know what she says, like, help me, and never mind. I can't explain it very well. I'm pretty impressed by the growling and the barking, though, but I'm still not convinced by the voice, and I would be curious to know what kind of test they did.
The psychological test?
No, they said, like, I can't say that word.
Ventriloquist.
Yeah.
They said something about water and, like, tape.
No, if we were like in a courtroom and the three of the videos so far have been our evidence, I'm not convinced, guys. Not just yet.
Well, the video we just watched, a big part of it was from the first video.
Did you read some of these comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Rockman says that the photos make it seem like it could be staged, but the recordings and the audio tapes add possibility that it could be real. Yeah, the tapes are definitely more convincing than the photos, but then again, I'm not sure. I did, like, maybe she is being possessed, you know, or maybe whatever, but I don't believe the voice is from the poltergeist, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I of course, I've not experiencing it, so, you know, like the mom said, if you don't experience it, of course you don't know. But I don't know. I don't think I believe the voice thing.
Yeah, the interviews with asking the ghost to knock. Yeah. I agree. It was like very non-confrontational sort of interviewing.
It does seem a lot of the stuff seems sus, you know, like maybe, well, I don't know, the older sister seems genuine, but I don't know.
I think it's the smiling in the interviews that is throwing me off, but I also kind of smile if I struggle if I'm feeling nervous, but also there might be neurological
They said they did tests on her and she came out normal.
I don't know.
Well, let's assume it was a poltergeist possessing her, and the poltergeist likes to do jokes and play tricks, so that makes sense about the smiling.
Yeah. I also think that the time ghost hunting or paranormal activity wasn't being taken seriously or taught widely, right?
True.
What if the ghost is legit, but making it seem like it's not legit so they can keep haunting them? Yeah, that's a good point.
They did something like that in the movie, right?
Yeah, in the movie, she had to fake something to get the investigators to leave because she was under the pressure of the threat of her family being hurt, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, they said the activity died down, I assume because the people don't live there no more, but, like, what about now and today? Do we know if today the house is still being haunted?
I don't know. Thanks for everyone that has joined. We are watching. We have one more video, right? For real life interviews based on the second Conjuring film. Is that right, Cersei?
Yeah, and then the other videos or the first Conjuring film. So if you're new here, we typically watch horror movies on Sunday nights. We would watch on Discord, or people would watch on Netflix, and we would stream our reactions live on YouTube. But today we are just watching random interviews from the in real life Conjuring. Sorry, I explained that wrong. We're watching interviews that are about The Conjuring.
So the second Conjuring film is based on the Enfield Poltergeist, which took place in the 1970s. So we were watching, real life interviews based on that, and we're gonna wrap up with one more video on the subject, and then we'll be moving on to interviews with the real life Lorraine Warren. So she'll be talking about the investigation from the first Conjuring film, and touch on Annabelle as well as the Ed and Lorraine Warren Museum.
Also, if you want to watch on your own instead of a tiny little square, you can find all the links to the videos in the description below. We are on the fourth video? I think we're on the fourth video. The fourth link in the description.
I'll be the skeptic and say that the girl just liked the camera on her, so she smiled a lot and put an act to keep them interested on them. Yeah, that's...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, that would be my assumption too, but... Yeah, that would be my assumption too as of now.
Yeah, my assumption is that the little girl, like, maybe she has experienced activity, but when she does the voice, I feel like she's the only one tricking everybody. Everyone else, maybe they genuinely believe her, like the older sister seems genuine, so I don't think she's in on it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. The older sister does seem genuine, and I wouldn't really buy the fact that she's in on it. So, yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, I think she's fooling everyone. But maybe it's like the movie, she had to pretend it's fake. Or pretend it's real, but like fake. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, trying to stage it.
But like, stage that's paranormal, but there really is something paranormal, but she's pretending. I don't know how to explain. But similar to the movie, but she did.
Alright, so you wanna move on to the next one? The next video is called Explore the Real Horror of the Enfield Poltergeist, The Conjuring 2.
The town of Enfield was North London. The kid I was a very outgoing child, very energetic. I love swimming and I love sports.
I was sort of helpful towards my younger brothers and sisters. It was just like a normal family life, really.
We had no knowledge of the history of the house before the happenings and the events started.
This racket started to occur in the back bedroom and some disturbance. And my mum came into the room and she said, "Johnny and Janet, pack it up and sleep. We've got to get up in the morning." And the chest of drawers near the wall and the door had slid into sort of the doorway.
There was like incidents that happened to me, like the curtain which wrapped itself around my neck, which was quite life-threatening for me.
Looks so different. I didn't go.
And it brought it home to me that this could kill you.
And we was all in a terrible state, very scared and tired of it. And it got worse as the time went on. We got more exhausted with it.
It's what happens in the supernatural demonic world. In order to infiltrate someone's life, they don't just, oh, I now have you possessed. They have to weaken you by creating turmoil, noises in the night, things that go bump. They start to elevate fear, and they begin to feed on that fear.
For the family, when weird things started to happen, they actually did the right thing and they called the cops. And that's how the police were involved. They came to the house, they investigated, they checked around, and sure enough, all the weird stuff that the family was saying were happening in the home actually happened to the police officers.
This chair in the corner sort of shot forward about 1 metre in front of them on its own. And she sort of went like that, the policewoman, and she sort of looked in disbelief and was looking to see something was attached to it and one of us might be playing a joke on her, maybe. That's the sort of look she gave.
When you read their interviews, it's like they could not get out of there fast enough.
My neighbour called the newspaper. We didn't know what else to do, I suppose, like in desperation for some sort of help.
The chap on the news desk, being a bit sceptical, obviously didn't believe her at all.
The newspaper thought my neighbour was drunk. They don't come across this every day, do they?
When she mentioned the police had seen this, they had to believe them then. You wouldn't ignore the fact that if the police had witnessed something, that was good enough for us. I was in my early 20s. I was a photographer on the Daily Mirror, covering anything, everything. News, sport, fashion, you name it, I shot it. Janet was brought in, and as she came into the room, suddenly things just took off. Wherever Janet was, it just seemed to happen. Kids are kids, you know, they'll do funny little things for attention, but not the things that we were seeing, we were witnessing there. They couldn't have done those things. They weren't even in the same room at the time. So, no, I quite believe what I was watching was genuine. You'd have chairs tip up, beds turn over, drawers would fly out in a room there was no one in.
Oh my God, the levitation of those girls. They would levitate.
I remember being pulled from my bed. I felt like a cold hand feeling and pushed up into the air. It was like a force, and I was screaming.
And they'd levitate, crisscross in the air.
The shot of Janet levitating was done with a cable running down to where I was, down in the main sort of living room. She was up in the bedroom. We had a camera set up in the corner, motor driven, with stroboscopic flash. I wasn't in the room at the time. I didn't see this until the following day when we processed films and have a look. So that came as a real surprise to everyone, that we knew that she was falling out of bed. We could hear the bang on the floor. We could hear her scream. We knew what was going on. We only had Janet's word for it. But then the following day we look at the pictures, that would prove it.
It became, over the months, a bit of everyday life, which was quite bad. But before that, I certainly thought that ghosts were ghost stories, and they were all fictitious.
We realised that we had to get other people involved, i.e. the Society for Psychical Research, who look into these things. And that's when people like Maurice Grosse were involved, and they were the, quotes, professionals. As far as Maurice is concerned, I understood that he had a connection with the case. He'd gone along there believing that it was his recently deceased daughter, who was also called Janet, who was trying to contact him from beyond the grave, sort of thing. And I'm sorry, I was all lost on me.
Janet, are you all right?
This voice channeled towards Janet's direction, and we looked at her face, but
That's
her
why
mouth
we watched
wasn't
the
moving.
turtle video.
Ed, no. 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 Hold your leg on me on that. No, give me. No, I don't want to. No. Yeah, I'll do it. He got hold of it.
I think people thought at first that I was doing it deliberately. So tests were done.
Mr. Gross filled her mouth up with water when we all was watching, and the voice was still talking. And Mr. Gross asked him, "Where are you from?"
"I come from the grave."
I wonder if it actually said that though.
We are in the actual graveyard where Bill Wilkins is
I
actually
agree,
buried.
Emma.
Mum, she's watching over us.
The expression on my mum's face is just how she used to look at me.
I felt sorry for the kids because everyone had to be there to see it, from Cambridge professors to TV companies. There was even one, there was a ventriloquist, was invited along to the house to see if Janet was making sounds herself and, you know, this sort of stuff.
There were so many witnesses and so many people had seen things.
With the media there, reporters, investigators. There was no privacy anymore. Our lives weren't our own.
My name's Kent Allen. We're with the television news program Wide Angle. I was hoping to have a word with you about the disturbance.
This family became minor celebrities at the time, and this wasn't just a family off by themselves, off in the woods with nobody around. This was a council house in the middle of London. It is the house that you would never think that was haunted, and inside were these people living this nightmare.
There was a buzz that went around that Ed and Lorraine were coming over from the States to witness, you know, what was happening in the house. I remember that everyone thought, wow, this is fantastic, you know, this is really interesting that someone's going to, you know, really bothered to do so much, to come so far.
I've done research all over the world. I never charged for anything I did. What happened wasn't good. I needed to help them.
When Ed and Lorraine come to the house, to me it felt like some sort of comfort had arrived for the first time.
Ed and Lorraine exemplify, especially in the 70s, your neighborhoods, you know, how people weren't so afraid to help each other. You just did it because it was the right thing to do.
Lorraine has cited this particular case as being one of the most terrifying of her career.
What's your name? I never thought anything like that would happen to me.
She said, there's definitely some spirit here. And she said, I feel it's not always good. And she said, I wouldn't say it was very evil, but she said, I'm very worried about it.
Lorraine has always said to me, she goes, I know that this gig is ordained. You know, it was meant to be, and like it or not, you know, I gird up. And despite the fear and despite the weariness, there was never any doubt for her.
You can see it's the house, there's no doubt about it.
We had Margaret and Janet come back and visit us while we were shooting.
This is
It
my
was
mother's
filmed in the same
bedroom.
house, or?
She always had a chair in the corner here, but it's very much like her room was. Oh wow! This is a recreation of the room. My sister slept on.
It really brings back memories.
It was the first time they had seen Lorraine, who was on set the same day, in 38 years.
This is Margaret and Janet.
Oh my God! Oh, my goodness!
Oh, I loved it to see you.
Is that the house?
We've seen you in the films as well.
Production.
In the other films, I watched
That's
you.
fate.
You were kids. I know. We never forgot.
The film set.
It was an extremely emotional reunion for all of them because they remember Lorraine and Ed so fondly and how they had truly tried to help the Hodgson family, not just with the supernatural elements, but just help them as a family.
Out of their repertoire of cases that they've investigated of their lifetime, this is one of their most interesting ones. Because of the nature of it, the Hodgson family have their fair shares of fans and skeptics.
Our principal characters here are all children, and children can be very ingenious pranksters.
Nita Gregory, I've always despised her, resented her because she said it was a complete fake.
My girl didn't make this up. What? No. But I've seen things. She was caught red-handed faking an event. Obviously, this family, if it was a hoax or not, was in great distress, okay? I think that we can agree on.
And whatever the reason, like, I can totally respect that and be like, I'm
Thanks,
so
Roxanne.
sorry that for whatever reason you felt this way and this kind of stuff was happening.
No one could fake something like that. They'd have to be a very good 11-year-old actor.
This is my house! No, it's not.
And there is that question
it
of
good
did
acting?
something really happen or not. There are a lot of believers that really believe something did happen, and there's some people that feel that the girls were putting something on. But there is enough evidence that's irrefutable that makes us feel like something was really strongly going on there.
Don't you see it?
See what?
I don't think I'll ever be able to put a closure on it because the memories will always be there. It will never go. It's had such a big impact on my childhood.
At the end of the day, it didn't just taper off. It burns itself out. You know, it gets to the point where things weren't happening. So just ended up as a complete mystery as it started.
I'm very grateful for giving us the chance to tell our true story.
I saw a TikTok. I think it was yesterday. It was randomly showed up on my page. I want to see if I can find it real quick. Go ahead.
I liked that video. I think it was pretty informative. What did you guys think? So now we've seen all the videos of the second Conjuring film. What is your guys' verdict?
Seeing her as she's older and like listening to her talk, I am a little bit more believing her.
Yeah, I agree. It was helpful seeing them grown up and be more reflective, as well as get more coverage from other people, interviewing other people.
I can't find the TikTok, but basically, it was just about actual experiences people had on set, which they believed was paranormal, and I just was confused. Why would the set be haunted?
Did too. Shout out to MA who compiled these videos for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, they did a really good job on the aesthetics and creating the set design to really capture the original environment.
Hello, Monkey. We just finished watching 4 YouTube videos about interviews involving The Conjuring 2. And now we are discussing if we believe them or not. I think we're all kind of on the fence, right? But more wanting to believe, I think. Except that voice.
The recordings are really good.
Yeah.
I think it's just the smiling that was throwing me off.
It's just the voice that was throwing me off. But I do believe that they did experience paranormal activity and all of that, and some of it seems fake, but overall it seems plausible that it was real. I agree. It does seem plausible. But you're also a bit skeptical, but like yeah, it's hard to believe. Yeah, I wanted to know more like what the movie made up, what was actually, you know, inspired by real events, like when he went in the basement and it was flooded and then the ghost came and it got bit and stuff, you know. Like as the debugging they made up, right? Which I never heard of a demonic entity biting people. Like scratching I've heard of, but biting I have not heard of.
You never heard of sorry, can you say that again?
I have not heard of anyone experiencing bites.
Because I've heard it a lot.
You have? Okay. Maybe I just don't
I've
know
just
enough.
watched a lot of paranormal documentaries and even I've heard that a few times, but not exactly from ghosts, but more like the demonic entities.
Like, to my knowledge, ghosts cannot hurt you. It's the demons and demonic stuff and the, I don't know, poltergeist, whatever. Those are the, you know.
YouTube is mute.
Yeah, YouTube's mute because I'm not playing anything right now. If you wanted to watch the videos on a bigger screen on your own, all the links are in the description below. I believe we're on the 5th link. Right?
Right. So the next one is called The Conjuring, the real Lorraine Warren featurette.
Oh, we are not using Discord today. We're only streaming on YouTube. So, yeah, only YouTube today. And then next Sunday we'll continue doing our watch parties. We'll probably do like a poll to see what people are interested in watching first. But yeah, today we're just watching YouTube videos. No Discord. If you guys ever need updates of what we're doing, we will continue having on our channel, we'll say upcoming streams, and I'll say what time, and then Discord I'll have an event, and we have a channel where I say when we're streaming next. And if also we have a new video we upload this week, if you are interested in watching. It is our thoughts on the new Resident Evil Netflix series. That'd be cool if you check it out. And I also post updates the day of and throughout the week, and when we go live on Twitter and Instagram stories. But definitely Discord is the best place to not miss anything. YouTube and Discord, best place to not miss anything. But yeah, every Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern when we stream.
In our Resident Evil video, we also kind of talk about our background in how, in our fan history, the history that we have in our attachment to the Resident Evil series, and how pissed off, well, I am, but I was also trying to say positive things as well about the show. Yeah, I don't think ghosts can hurt either, because if that was the case, there would be a lot of cases in the US knowing the history of this country.
I know, right? Yeah, lots of, yeah.
Thanks, Rockman.
We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we appreciate you watching our videos. It really means a lot, and we're just really grateful. Thank you.
Crusade of the Christianity instead of our native root beliefs. That's why it hides so much.
Okay. Let's continue watching. If I need to adjust any audio, just feel free to let me know.
Right, so next video, The Conjuring, the real Lorraine Warren featurette.
That you want to communicate with us. Give us a sign that you want to communicate with us.
What are you guys?
Well, we've been called ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
I'm Lorraine Warren, and this is my home. We've lived here, I guess, about 40 years now. This is where everything started. Everything started about our work.
Something awful happened here, Ed.
What is it? Whatever Lorraine sees, feels, touches, it takes a toll on her. A little piece each time.
It's been quite a career, and I'm still involved. I'm still involved with hauntings, you know, in helping people get through. It's a very delicate thing with certain people because they're very terrified and very frightened. But there's a lot of people that don't believe.
You have a lot of spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful.
Okay, so let's go in. I'll show you the house. There's a lot of pictures of us in the house. Here's one of the pictures of Ed and I.
You guys were inseparable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were. We didn't do anything without one another.
Aww.
You're in probably one of the most haunted places in the world because of the things that are in here. Everything in here has been taken from some place where people were either killed or maimed or so many ways. So it's tragic for me, you know, to even go in. People are very, very interested in the museum. And there's some people that are afraid to even go in.
Looks like they need a bigger
is a conjuring
place.
Everything and anything in here we have investigated.
Looks like our parents' house.
Ever touch anything, and if you do, let me know. This is the worst thing in here. Is that doll. I'm not gonna stare at it though. So you can take the picture, but I'm not gonna stare at it because that has done bad harm on a lot of people. You have to conjure the spirits in order to get them. You know, you're not going to get them by just walking around here.
And that's the one that's sort of depicted a little bit in this movie, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's the Annabelle doll. Yes.
Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen.
What has been done is circular embolism, which is prayers, are said all the time, you know, to pray.
And you have a priest to bless.
Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely. Yes. Oh my God, yes. I can't do that.
It's November 1st, 1971. I'm sitting here with Carolyn Perrin, who, with her family, has been experiencing supernatural occurrences.
The children were badly affected.
Yeah, I think they did a good job.
Really badly
with the
affected. That was a terrible place. I mean, that was a very, very, very bad place. It's not easy. It's not easy, you know. You know, you see things and experience things. It's more comfortable now. It's a lot more comfortable for me.
When the music stops, you see him in the mirror standing behind you.
Look what she made me do.
When you shop at Walmart, you get.
Sorry. Oh my God. I do love Walmart. Oh man. I agree on that. It definitely depends. Your beliefs are dependent on culture as well. And religion.
Well, Lorraine Warren, I believe she died only in 2019, so
wow,
right before the pandemic.
The Raggedy Ann is spoopy. I feel like that doll is more scary than what I've seen on the posters of like Annabelle or whatever movies. Like the the doll in the movies does not look scary. It just looks silly and spooky moment.
Right. You know, you could actually go to the museum and tour it. I believe it's still open to
Where
the
is it?
public. I'm not sure where it's located.
How cool
But
would it be if we went, you know?
the real Conjuring house of the first film, you could actually book a night to stay there and do an investigation, or I believe, I'm not sure if it's just for investigators or general public, but I believe the general public is allowed to just like book a night to stay there and investigate. Kind of like an Airbnb situation.
That would be
And they do tours. They do tours, day tours there as well. I did kind of watch some clips on the real life Annabelle, and there was this story that Lorraine told about how someone was just making fun of Annabelle and was knocking on the glass. And they were joking about it, and then when they rode home on a motorcycle, they were still joking about the doll, and then the guy lost control of his motorcycle and crashed into a tree. So, yeah, it was one of those videos where someone else is narrating, not necessarily an interview, so I didn't want to include it in this round of videos.
It's weird. That's weird you say that because I watched, I think it was Kelsey Davis or whatever her name is on YouTube, and she mentioned that something similar happened to her.
YouTube or TikTok?
YouTube.
Okay,
But I'm trying to remember if it was her or some other medium. It might have been her.
Cersei, would we sleep there? I would sleep.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't actually sleep, but
I'm sure they would have some sort of, like, you just tell them not to follow you home, and maybe a little blessing or whatever.
located in Monroe, Connecticut. I think it's close since the Warrens have passed away. Oh, okay. I know the girl that runs the tours for, or one of the girls that runs the tours for the Conjuring house, she has a TikTok, and I saw that she visited the museum, so I wasn't sure. But thank you for looking that information up.
Who like watches over the museum, like the doll and stuff?
I'm not sure. I know that they periodically do blessings on the room so that, you know, everything stays contained. But I'm not sure what the situation is after Lorraine Warren passed away. Yeah, that would be cool if we got to go there.
One of my favorite TikTokers, she collects haunted dolls, and she claimed that she got a doll, the same place where Annabelle comes from, and she thinks the dolls were connected, and it was like Raggedy Andy or something, and he lots of weird stuff happened to her, and she got so scared she had to stop posting for a little bit and had to seek religious help. I don't know if it's real or not, but I like to believe it is. I don't think it was the same type of demon, but it was definitely haunted by a ghost, a mean ghost.
Oh, thanks for the support, guys. If we ever did something like that, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would love to do something for our YouTube channel where we could go somewhere and maybe just tour or investigate or something, you know. Doll Island, creepy. I think I've heard of that one.
Mexico?
Yeah.
Because one of my classmates did a film on it for his thesis.
Interesting.
Oh, he's not my classmate. He's my husband's classmate, former classmate.
Alright, shall we move on to the next video?
Have I encountered any nice ghosts? Oh, have you? I haven't encountered any mean ghosts.
Same.
I don't know. My friend was saying how there isn't really any distinction between like good and evil. It's her belief that evil is really just misunderstood. And I thought that was an interesting perspective.
Can't visit the Warren place due to zoning issues.
Oh, that sucks. Thanks for looking into it.
In case anyone missed it, we posted a video, I think it was last week, of our paranormal experiences. In case you were interested in watching. We will be posting more regularly, like regular videos, YouTube shorts, and we'll continue our live streams on Sunday nights, where we watch horror movies. We'll probably do another stream like this too, where we just react to random videos.
Yeah, are you guys enjoying this?
Maybe we can even ask people to send us in videos and we'll watch it, compile it, and then watch them live.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, I also had 2 people submitted their spooky stories so far, so I was gonna make videos on that. If you guys want to share your spooky story, you can do so by checking out our beacons link in the description below. There's a form you could fill out, or of course you can comment on any of our stuff and tell us your story, or DM us or something, and we'll share it. And you can be anonymous if you'd like as well. I'm glad you guys like it.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback and support. Keep in mind to go to the library of the Vatican. You can have Vatican. You have to have a recommendation, and it's not easy. And first, forbidden to browse. Oh, is forbidden to browse. Sorry. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Alright, so the next video is called The Conjuring Face to Face with Terror, Warner Brothers Entertainment.
I grew up, I had access to an 80,000 volume library, and I read from that library extensively about religion, all the religions of the world, and I was really an atheist at that point when we moved to the farm. But things began to happen in the house.
My wife, she saw an ad in a newspaper and decided she would go and look at it. And while I was away, I guess I was away for about 3 days, and during that period, she looked at it, liked it, and put a deposit down on the house. The idea of living on 200 acres in a beautiful home like that that's enough to fire you up. It was beautiful.
The day we moved into the house was very chaotic. We were trying to move out the previous owner while we were trying to move in a family of 7. So it was pretty chaotic. And I came running through from the kitchen to the front hallway and into what became our dining room, and there was this man standing there. And as children do, I was just like, okay, you know, it's somebody, and I ran off to play.
The house was straight out of the 30s or 40s. It had linoleum on the floor. There was no modern conveniences. The house was 110 feet long, and just walking it back and forth, walking the length of the house, unpacking and getting the children settled. My muscles of my legs started to hurt, and that was the beginning of the pain.
It drained my mother's energy so severely that she would sleep in bed for like 2 years. She could hardly get out of bed. Because it caused her so much depression, too. Fear for her children, fear for herself.
Terrible fear for us.
I met one of the neighbors, and she said to me, you know, when the Kenyans lived here, they left the lights burning in the house all the time, all day long, all night long. And I thought that was kind of strange, but that was clarified for us by Mr. Kenyon. He said, for the sake of the children, you should leave lights on at night.
When you walk in a house that evil, you know that that house really had very, 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 very bad vibes.
In her day, she was the house of the county, you know, the one that you drive by and they're like, that was the first house. And that's what she was. And when the witch and all these ghosts moved in, they just slowly just chipped away at her, and like the cracks showed up and the veining and the darkness of the house.
We started to absorb the karma of the house almost as through osmosis. We would hear the mournful, pitiful, sad weeping of children in the house.
And it was always that one bedroom window, that middle bedroom window. And it was though she had the window open and was hollering out the windows, "Mommy, Mommy," just wailing.
Lorraine came. She was very sweet. She was very gentle with the children, but she started to issue warnings to me.
I knew the house was haunted. All I had to do was walk in it. We just had to find the source.
My mother did an inordinate amount of historical research on the house. And the reason that she did was not only was she fascinated with the fact that we were living in a 1736 house, but she also knew by the time that we started to see multiple spirits in the house, she wanted to know who it was. And that's when we learned about Bathsheba Sherman.
We wanted to get deeper into this case, yes. We definitely we went up there so many times to try to find the help, to really try to find it for them. But it was very sad.
I told her about some of the things that had happened. I woke to the smell of smoke in my bedroom. And then there was Bathsheba. This is when she put the curse on me. What she said at the last of it is, next time we meet, ye too be dead.
The spirit that was most threatening to her liked to manifest with fire.
In that house, we had much happiness and many happy times together, but we had horrible things happen too. Logic tells you that something that is immaterial, that is a shadow, that's a mist, that's a wind that passes by you and lifts your hair, cannot really hurt you. I still feel threatened. I feel threatened. I don't know that I'll even be willing to see the film.
I love your earrings.
In fact, I doubt very much that I will be willing to see the film for the same reason I'm unwilling to ever go back to the house, especially to ever go inside the house again. I never would.
It'd be cool to see the actual house. Scene. That's a lot of movies.
I wonder what it would feel like to have a film made based on your trauma and then, I don't know. I don't think I could watch the film either if I was in that position. And then in a way, it
Sorry,
might
my
even
dogs.
feel like, I don't know, that some parts they might be just, I don't know, making a show out of it or exaggerating it in a way that makes you feel invalidated in a sense. I don't know.
Hey, Taken King.
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame her. I would like to see what the actual house looks like compared to the set. That'd be really cool.
It's much smaller. Yeah, they made everything bigger in the film.
Been to a town called Old Town, to a haunted house in San Diego.
I think we have one more video on our list.
I do agree that the people in the video seem sincere.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the last video and it's 29 minutes long.
Yeah, I have no idea how entertaining it is because I only watched a few seconds of it. So if we're
Oh my
not
gosh.
feeling it, I mean, there's no pressure to because I think it's a long interview maybe of Ed and Lorraine Warren explaining how you can tell your house is haunted. So if we're not feeling it, and there's no pressure to finish it.
So if you wanted to watch on a bigger screen, we have the links in the description below. We don't own any of these videos, we're just watching them. If you're new here, we typically watch horror movies on Sunday nights, but today we're just watching YouTube videos about related to the Conjuring movies.
Welcome to another edition of Seekers
Like
of the
that last
Supernatural.
video.
I'm your moderator tonight, Tony Sparrow, of course, with host Ed and Lorraine Warren. Tonight is an historic night. I'm not one to make predictions, but tonight is November 7th, election night. My prediction tonight is that either Al Gore or George Bush will become the next president of the United States. Mark my words. So, I think what we'll do tonight is, we talk a lot about specific cases, specific hauntings, but tonight I think what I'd like to ask Ed and Lorraine is, how do you know when a house is haunted? What are the various types of hauntings that are occurring out there to people? How would they recognize the various kind of spirits, perhaps an earthbound spirit, a demonic spirit, all those types of supernatural occurrences? So I think I'd like to start, if I could, tonight with Ed. Ed, how do you know if a house is haunted?
Well, first of all, people will call us up and they'll say, Tony, I think there's something in my house. And I'll say, why? Well, from my peripheral vision, I sometimes see a shadow. Or I believe I hear doors opening and closing at night, and I see these lights shooting across the room when it's dark in the bedroom. Maybe little scratching sounds which could be attributed to some rodent or something, but then there's the knocking sounds.
Right.
These are all the beginning stages of what we call infestation. As the family lives in the home longer, things will build because they'll become more frightened. As they become more frightened, they throw off psychic energy into the atmosphere, which those spirits or spirit will use as a fuel to manifest itself. Now, if that spirit was in the house when they moved in there, then we have what we would call an earthbound spirit or an obsessed spirit. I remember in Waterbury, Connecticut, there was this big, beautiful mansion up on a hill there, and it was an Italian villa. The man who owned it had a motto in his living room, carved right in the wood, mine, always mine. He wasn't kidding, Tony. He was always going to stay there, and he did. 4 families bought the house. 4 families were driven out of that house. How did he drive them out? They used to actually hear a voice, a materialized larynx, shouting to get out. This was his house. He was obsessed with it. He was going to stay there. Well, that's one type of a haunting. When you hear a voice like that, and it's audible, you know there's something there which shouldn't be there. Then there are spirits which we call earthbound, which don't realize that they have left that dwelling in spirit. They stay right on. They love the house, or they want it so bad as this Italian fellow did. But, you know, all ghosts aren't harmful, aren't negative. They simply want to dwell in the place that they love the most. We have a lot of this at schools where janitors were never married. This school was their whole life. They stay right there. Say in some institution, like a mental institution, a hospital, you have these old guys that have been there for years and years. It's not that they mean any harm. It's the only home they ever knew. So they don't want to leave it. So they stay right there.
So that's like an earthbound spirit?
That would be an earthbound spirit. Earthbound because it's not progressing to where it should go, Tony.
See, all cases of spirit infestation, Tony, are not always hauntings, though. I mean, you can have a loved one who is going to return. Maybe they'll return in an automobile to forewarn you of something or to guide you through a situation.
She says in an automobile, they're not driving the automobile.
No, they'll
It's
appear.
like the one over in Colorado telling the wife what to do during a snowstorm.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not a haunting. A spirit has appeared, but it's not necessarily...
Okay, so because a spirit appears doesn't necessarily mean it's a haunting.
No.
What is a haunting
A
then?
haunting is where there's infestation, Tony. Terrifying things. Things that are very frightening. If a spirit of a loved one wanted to visit us and appear at the foot of our bed or appear at a family gathering or wedding or a christening, I mean, that's not a haunting. And it doesn't even require investigating it, Tony, because you don't want to get rid of somebody like that. What you want to do is try to explain to a family exactly why that spirit is there. But hauntings are definite infestation. That is where there's knocking sounds, there's doors opening and closing.
Bed shaking.
Yeah.
Pounding sounds. But a visitation apparition, that's all together. They're usually different than what we've been talking about. They appear probably once. For instance, a young man that's in the Army, he's killed over in Korea or World War II, whatever. At the moment he dies, he's thinking of being home. He's there instantly. He doesn't have to get on a plane or a train. He is there through thought, instantly in that house. His mother, his father, maybe his wife will see his apparition. That's like saying, although my physical body is gone, I survived the grave. That's a gift from God. That's a visitation apparition. The crisis apparition, this is similar to what Lorraine was talking about. You might be driving along, say on a stormy night, and I'm thinking of one specific case that I was told about years ago. The woman her husband died. She was driving along and she could hear her husband's voice telling her to stop the car, just as audible as my voice is being heard right now. She stopped the car, and lo and behold, she could see a lantern up ahead. Guy comes running up to her, the bridge is out. That's a crisis apparition. The husband's spirit came to her and warned her not to go any further, and she heeded that warning.
That happened also. You know where else that happened, Tony? That happened right on Route 8 outside of Torrington. And that was told to me by a nurse from Charlotte Hungerford Hospital. She was on her way home. The roads were starting to ice in that area, and she was very, very frightened. Her brother-in-law had only died months before, and he appeared next to her and took the wheel.
Are you for the exemptions for rape and incest?
Oh my God. Hold on, guys. Oh my God. Can you edit that part out? I have to wait 10 seconds for the ad to be over. Okay, wait, is it over?
Let me know your timestamp when you start back up.
I think it accidentally went to the other a different video.
Oh.
It's what's it called again? The Conjuring Universe at Life of Demon. No, that's not it.
The Warrens explain how to know if your house is haunted.
Okay, found it. Sorry. Where did we leave off? Do you know? I must have accidentally, when I skipped the ad, it went to a different video.
I think we're around 7 minutes, at least 7. Start at 7 and see where you left off.
Okay.
The spirit solidifies. A spirit can't solidify to the extent that it
happened.
Well, the spirit.
And he appeared next to her and took the wheel. And
He actually took the wheel.
He actually put his
Now,
hand.
how could a ghost grab a wheel? It's
How could that
invisible.
happen?
Well,
sorry, guys.
The spirit solidifies. A spirit can't solidify to the extent that it's almost like cement. Just like what Glenn Pinnell hit that night, the white lady in front of the cemetery. She was as solid as a cement structure. But a spirit can move things either through solidifying or through what we call psychokinesis or psychokinesis, where mind over matter, they stop something through thinking about it or grabbing a woman's hand. I've had many spirits grab my arm, but it's not exactly like you would feel somebody grab you. It's like a pressure. You can't move your arm. And that's what she's talking about now.
Yes, and things like that, Tony, they're beautiful things. They're
not hauntings.
I mean, they're not hauntings, but they're beautiful experiences, which shows that, you know, the spirit survived death of that physical body and was still interacting with the family.
How many times have we had spirits tell us they were present at their accident? They knew exactly what happened. They could see their own bodies. They're on the road. They attended their own funerals. They tell us funny things that might have happened during the funeral, people that were in there. And in one case, a young girl that was killed in an accident, she followed her body all the way up to Maine where they buried it. Then she told us about how this wreath fell right into on top of the casket. Now, how would she know that? How would they know that? She was there.
How did you communicate with the spirit? Was it through,
through
a psychic or something?
Tony, I believe you were at this lecture with us. I believe you emceed that night. And the young man that was at that lecture, which he helped out in the school, was a quadriplegic?
Yeah,
quadriplegic. And he had very strong upper arms, but he only had stubs. And
then he was a paraplegic. Okay.
And so he, anyway, he had been in the choir with this girl.
Yep.
And so when she died, her family was from Maine, and that's where she was going to be buried. But she appeared to him, and he said he received the message from her and she talked to him through her mind. And of course, we know that she reached him telepathically. And the message she wanted to get through to him was that she didn't want her parents to continue to grieve to the extent that they were, and how much it was bothering her. And grieving does stop the spirit from
That's what I was
passing
going to ask.
on.
Is that like kind of inhibit the spirit?
They try to stay there to console the people, their loved ones.
Yes.
You know, my father, he was open-minded, but he was a very religiously oriented man. I don't think there was a day that ever went by he never said the rosary. But after he died, his car was left to me. My mother gave it to me, and it was all locked up. We had a horseshoe driveway at the time, and the car was parked there in the driveway. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, the hi-fi went off full blast. Now, on the hi-fi, Lorraine had flowers. She had a couple of statues. In order to turn that on, you had to pick up the lid and turn it on. But that thing was going full blast. That woke us up, and we could see that there were headlights of a car streaming into the windows into our living room. And I thought, did somebody get in and start the hi-fi? I jumped up. I went out. It was my dad's car. I went outside. The car was locked up, but the lights were on. The lights were on, the hi-fi went off. My father did that to let us know.
That he was okay?
Without scaring us half to death that he was there.
Wow.
But Tony, if you have a house that is truly haunted, you know it.
No doubt.
Okay, what other things happen in a haunted house besides knocking? So what
Well,
else is
people can actually be physically pulled out of their beds.
Things missing.
There's things that are dematerialized, Tony, and they'll reappear
Okay, so
at
some
another
signs
location.
that your house might be haunted would be what?
Change in temperatures, lights going on and off, doors opening and closing.
Television's going on and off.
Yes, electrical appliances. It affects the electricity in the
Psychic
house.
cold spots, like an icy spot when you walk through it. If you get a hot spot, then that means that you're dealing with something inhuman, diabolical.
And also, there's what we call magic whispering. Now that is very common in a haunted house, and this is how people describe it. They will say, we can hear talking, but you cannot make out what they are saying.
Almost like people talking in the owner's
At a
talking in another
distance.
room.
In another room.
You can hear the voices, but you don't.
And,
you don't
and
know
it
what they're
goes up
saying?
and down, like a conversation will, when people are expressing themselves. But on the other hand, you can't make out words.
So any kind of strange sounds too, you think?
Now these are hauntings.
Smells and sounds.
Poltergeist is altogether different. A poltergeist will show itself morning, noon, and night, 24 hours a day. When I say show itself, I mean that things will be smashing and breaking, maybe burning. People will be attacked physically. Chairs will topple over. Pictures will fly off walls and smash and break. Vases will fall off. You'll hear pounding sounds. The poltergeist is a German word. It means mischievous or noisy ghost. But there are fire poltergeists, water poltergeists, puncturing poltergeists, many different types. Rock throwing poltergeists. These are the ones that you hear mostly about. I would say at least once a week, if you were to look through all the newspapers in the United States, you would find what we call rock throwing poltergeists. These rocks fall on the homes. They usually materialize about 30, 40 feet above the house. They come down in a slow, zigzag manner, striking the house, but sometimes breaking windows.
And they're warm to the touch.
Oh yeah, that's an apport. These stones have been brought from many miles away. In Bethlehem, Connecticut,
Marbles were warm.
1953, which is maybe 20 minutes from where we're sitting right now. Michael Healy, he described himself as a woodcutter. He had a small building where he used to cut the wood and carve things out, I guess, and for 2 years, stones just fell on that house periodically, not 24 hours a day, periodically. They had state troopers, they had the town constable, they had neighbors, friends all surrounding the woods, thinking that somebody was doing that. But how could anybody, have stones appear and come down in a zigzag manner? There's no way you can do
gravity.
Yeah, it defies
that. But
gravity.
they were
It
trying
does.
to think logically, right? So eventually it did stop. And if you drive by that house today, you'll see a shrine out in front. And many of the stones that fell from the sky actually are made up in the foundation of that shrine.
Yeah, that's what he
But
did
that's-
with it.
Then at Eichler's Cove, which is right near
Right
here,
here,
too,
it's right here.
Lake Zor, we had stones weighing over 20 pounds that were falling on 3 different dwellings there. And
They did damage.
I'll never forget it. We were called out by Channel 8 news team. We went out there and there was a detective and a police officer standing there by a car, and they had this kid, he was probably 14 years old. I said, well, what's happening? We got him. I said, you got him? I said, who? They said, he's the one who's been doing it. We caught him up on the hill up there. I said, wait a minute, this
What's
boy
your time scale?
was up on that hill, threw 20-pound stones that came down
1502?
in a slow zigzag manner. How did he do that? He did it. We know he did it. The Newtown police. All of a sudden, the detectives hit right on the shoulder with a stone. The kid standing right alongside him.
Then what happened? They let him go?
They let the kid go. What else could they do?
They definitely
we explained to them that this is a typical poltergeist phenomena, the falling of stones. Now, it amazes me. You could ask any 10-year-old kid today, what's a poltergeist? They'd know. But you ask this detective or the cop, they don't know. I mean, where have they been? They got their heads in some kind of a sand pile someplace, like an ostrich?
It's just like that Bridgeport.
Yeah,
chief.
Bridgeport.
Yes.
That's a good example.
Walsh.
He's still alive,
And
right?
again, Walsh,
Oh,
why
yes,
don't
he's
you
still
come
alive.
forward and tell the truth? It's 25 years later. look, you put your own men on the carpet. They were telling about all the things that were happening in that house on Lindley Street, hour after hour. You come along and say that a 9-year-old girl fooled at least 8 or 9 cops in the kitchen, ourselves, 4 or 5 people, a couple of reporters, the parents. That kid could move a refrigerator weighing over 400 pounds without a senior do it.
He made the patrolmen look like a bunch of idiots.
He made
That's
the
right.
church look like idiots,
Why
too.
doesn't he come forward? He's retired. The crowds are gone. He doesn't have to worry about putting
No.
up barricades anymore.
Yeah.
Walsh, come forward. Tell the truth. You made these people look foolish, and how the media could fall for that is beyond me. He said the little girl was a ventriloquist. She was the one that was making the sounds coming around the cat. He never said who was the one, the psychiatrist, that found that out, or how they proved the kid was a ventriloquist. She was not. We were there. We know what we heard. We know what we
So that was
seen.
a real haunting, huh?
That was a poltergeist haunting.
That was a poltergeist.
That was a poltergeist.
That
Something
went
bad?
on
Something bad.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
bad. And
Smashing,
Tony,
breaking.
it goes on round the clock. It never lets up. It's not like it's going to start once it gets dark. That's all day,
When you
all
walk
night.
into a house like Lindley Street,
Oh,
you
it's
know how like
just-
some hauntings, the phenomena will stop when you go to
Yes,
investigate it?
yes.
But in Lindley Street, it didn't, huh?
No.
Well, let
No.
me give you an example.
Tell them about the electricity part of it, honey.
Well,
That's what's interesting.
I was sitting in the living room. It was a very small house. I could see the table and chairs in the kitchen. All of a sudden, you would get this ozone smell like electricity.
Yeah.
I could see the table starting to shake. It went right up in the air, did a flip, came down. The chairs flew in all different directions. Not only once. This happened every day.
Who
every
saw
day.
this happen?
Oh,
Police officers, firemen,
numerous.
Chief
Yeah, like
Swirling.
the furniture.
Chief Swirling walked in, the fire department. He seen 3 huge reclining chairs jumping all over the place. We used to call them Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. He said there must be some kind of witchcraft there. And the first priest that went in there, what was his name from the chancellery?
Oh, he was from St. Patrick's,
What was
honey.
his name?
I don't remember the name right now.
Well, he walked in and said,
from St. Patrick's.
it's definitely something diabolical. But after the chancellery bishop talked to him, he changed his mind
No,
fast.
they wouldn't
did?
allow.
Oh,
no.
yeah, it's ridiculous what they do.
It's
All right,
really
so
a shame.
when you walk into a house such as Lindley Street,
It's very uncomfortable,
it's almost like you don't need to be told what's happening
no,
because
no.
there's
it's
things
right
People
happening.
there.
all talking excitedly.
Yeah.
I remember when I came into the house that first time, I think it was November 23rd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1974. There were policemen in there, firemen in there. They were all talking excitedly. I have this all on tape, you know. The first thing I did was interview the officers, the firemen, the family, anybody that's seen or experienced anything.
These
I know
police
that's
officers had
important.
written statements too, right?
Right.
And yes, it has that.
I have all the police statements. I knew from experience they would say, the little kid did it. That's a cliche they use. I don't know why. I think it's because the police don't know what to do about it. You know, they walk in there, they want to help, but they don't know what they're up against. They just don't know how to stop it.
Okay, so in that house, we weren't going to talk about a specific case, but in that house, what kind of a spirit was there?
Demonic.
A demonic
Definitely
spirit.
demonic.
Well,
Anything as powerful as that is demonic.
I mean,
and it's still there.
And it lasted.
It's still there?
It lasted.
You say it's
yes.
still in the house?
All right, let me tell you how we know this, Tony. Because during the period of time after Mrs. Gooden was killed and then Gerald died.
Yep.
Mr. Gooden.
Mr. Gooden.
Gerald Gooden, yeah.
Yeah, Gerald Gooden died. Right after that, it went into the hands of realtors. Somebody was in there taking pictures, Tony, showed all the great big black globules,
ghosts.
shadows all over
It's
the
not
place.
as active as it was, but it's still there.
It's like
just
dormant.
remaining dormant, that's
it's
all.
It's just waiting, Tony, for someone to go in there that can activate what is there. And there are many ways to activate it. You can be animosity between family members will activate it. Alcoholism, drug abuse, opening doors through Ouija boards.
Okay, now why would the alcoholism and drug abuse and animosity cause a haunting?
Because it creates a type of energy in that house, and spirits are attracted to
Anger.
it by the
They're
aura.
attracted to that?
By the aura, Tony, by the aura. They're attracted to the aura of
Tony.
individuals who they've gone against the laws of God. They're destroying the physical body that God gave them.
So
Thank
that aura is
you.
going to change. The spiritual aspect of the aura is
Yes,
going
so-
to change. And that's what attracts these spirits to a particular
But also
location.
in this case, it was a child. She was, I believe they call it a Seven Nations Indian from Canada. And she was a very unhappy child.
Oh, yes.
In fact, she had been beaten severely. She was at home. She had a tutor coming to the house, the teacher. And the voice coming from the cat, not from the cat, but around the cat. Understand that.
Oh.
It's what we call a materialized larynx.
Okay, so we should clarify that she wasn't
Thank you,
beaten severely
guys.
by the Goodens.
Oh, no.
That was
She
prior.
was-
In
by
school.
kids in school.
Kids in school, Tony, because they felt she was different.
Okay.
That is so sad, but they did feel she was different.
So you have a very unhappy child here. Her only friend was Sam the cat. And she said, I used to talk with him, he talked back to me. The cat was not talking. It's a materialized larynx. Very rare, but it happens. We've been involved in about 6 cases where such phenomena has occurred. So you have an unhappy child. The energy of this child is all pent up inside of her. Spirits can use this. As she becomes anxious and angry and depressed, she throws off this energy. This is what we call a poltergeist. We use that. Now, parapsychologists, scientists will say, well, these PK rods, psychokinetic rods that supposedly project from this child, are only effective up to 14 feet. That's the scientific explanation. I immediately take the child out of the house when I go into such a home. I have them drive that child miles away with the mother and father so nobody can say it's the parents or the kid doing it. And then I provoke in the name of Jesus Christ. And things will be flying around. Where's their theory then? Where are the PK rods? Where's the psychokinetic energy? Sure, it may start with the child in the beginning, but then it takes over.
In the Gooden house where you said it was demonic, you think there's more than one spirit there?
One spirit always attracts other spirits, Tony. So where you have one spirit in a house, or where you have one ghost in a house, it's going to attract other spirits.
Did anybody ever see? Did anybody ever see, in like, for instance, the Gooden house, any
Yes.
manifestation?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
We had a young seminarian, Paulino. The
Oh,
first thing I did was to call him up. He was at our house. I said, Paul, come right down. You stay with this little child. Stay with her every minute except when she goes to the bathroom. If she's in one room, I want you in that room with her. I want you to observe her 24 hours a day. He did that. We left to go home. It was around 9 o'clock at night. We went home to get some something to eat, wash up, get some different clothing. And when we got back, Mr. Gooden, Laura Gooden, the wife, Marcy, and him were all outside in the street. The freezing, it was a cold night. I said, what's wrong? They said, we can't go in there. I said, what happened? What happened was that Paulino, a seminarian, started to say prayers in the house, which I told him not to, chanting. Suddenly this black shadow ghost appeared. He could feel hundreds of pinpoints of electricity all over his body, just like I felt in Amityville. They ran out of the house, they ran across the street to one of the police officers' homes. They were knocking on the door, they let them in. But then after they got in, there was pounding on the door. And the officer said, who's that? He says, you don't want to find out. That came from their house over to this house.
Wow. Was that the same kind of thing that happened in West Hartford?
Yeah, well, it happened the same year too, you know, Tony.
Well, what was the
the
thing in
only
West
thing
Hartford about?
different in West Hartford that happened that was
was the Donovan
violent.
case.
Oh,
The
that
Donovan
was
case.
yeah, that was demonic case, and that was but that started through the use of a Ouija board, Tony. That all started through the use of a Ouija board, and not only that, but we had huge, heavy things dematerializing in that home. I remember this one night. Ed went in the master bedroom with all the family members. They were all in there. And I walked down the hall, and I just stood in the doorway of the bedroom, you know, just talking. And I turned to leave, Tony, and fell over this big extension ladder that had been in the garage, which was attached to the house. I watched as doors dematerialized. It's the only time in my life, Tony, I have ever watched anything
dematerialize, and then reappear in another room.
The doors themselves?
The
Now,
doors
that's
themselves.
teleportation.
Yes.
The molecular structure of the item is broken down so that it dematerializes in one place and materializes in another.
Yes.
People
Yes.
out there find that hard to believe, but it happens all the time in the cases involved.
Was the Donovan case worse than the Lindley Street? About the same, or?
I'd say about the same.
I would say it was because it was different in many aspects, Tony. It started in a different way. It had other types of things occurring. Had tremendous damage.
To the house? To the house?
The house. It was the interior.
Didn't something
of it.
happen to your car there?
We want to hear
That
this?
was in the Donovan case.
What happened to
Let
your
me
car?
tell you, we had a brand new Chevette, brand new. I don't think the car had 200 miles on it. Ed did not want to park it in their
I like your
driveway,
voice.
so he parked it on the street in front of their house.
I said, I'm not parking that car in there.
I don't blame you.
And so when we got ready to leave, Tony, the car is all locked up. When we got ready to leave the house, the windshield wipers were off the front of the car and on the passenger side seat.
The signal, the
Wait a
signal
minute,
switch
wait,
inside the car was
yeah.
broke off.
Was broke off.
Hold on a second. The car was locked.
Locked.
Yes.
When you left the car, you locked it.
Yes.
When you got back to
yes.
the car, the windshield wipers were inside the locked car.
Yes, and the
turn
shift-
signal, the turn signal was
the
broken?
turn signal, that was broke off the car, so we couldn't. That car had to be towed back to the dealer again. Now, it was not that next day. Oh, yes, it was. It was late at that day, and the guy called us. The mechanic called us from the agency, and wanted to know, were we kidding? Tony, that was embarrassing. The wires underneath the hood of the car were all braided like you'd braid hair. Were all braided together.
Just practicing.
Yeah.
They have done
What
braided?
could do this?
What
Yeah,
could do
no
that,
Nothing in
Tony?
this world, Tony.
No
No.
person.
That bothers you a lot when you see things like that.
Another night coming back from that same house, Lorraine and I, a young lady was with us. It was a foggy night, very foggy. And we were out 84. And I could just see about maybe 25, 30 yards ahead of me. All of a sudden, there was a car with its lights off right in front of me.
Parked.
Right parked in the middle of 84. I swerved that Chevette, almost turned it over, went up on top of the grass lawn and turned and went around. There was no car there.
There was
That's a
no-
phantom car.
There really wasn't a car there?
There was not a car there because what I
Wasn't
did
a
is
car
I
there,
parked and I
Tony.
waited.
And nothing
I
came.
seen other cars come by. There was nothing there.
No,
phantom
it-
car.
it's very
Something to, something to terrify you.
Things like this, Tony, they become really emotional issues when you're involved because they are so incredibly frightening. I mean, to think of the power and above all the intelligence behind, yes, the intelligence behind this.
Wow. Well, we're just about out of time. I think next show, what we're going to do, what I'd like to do next show is to talk about how you remedy a situation like this. I mean, sure, you go in and you know the house is haunted. How do you remedy it?
Right.
So for those who are tuning in late, Lorraine, do you want to give the P.O. box?
Sure. Okay, you can write to us. In fact, we'll read a letter on the next show, that one of the nice ones we got this week. You can write to us at Lorraine Warren at P.O. Box 41.
Or Ed Warren.
Lorraine and Ed and
How
Lorraine
about Ed and
Warren.
Lorraine Warren? How
All
about the
right.
Warrens?
We'll settle
P.O.
for that.
Box 41
We'll settle for that.
P.O. Box 41.
in Monroe.
Well, that was interesting.
Feeling Healthy by
Another commercial on cats.
It's more entertaining than I thought it would be. I liked that video.
Yeah, I like Lauren.
What?
What's that?
Lorraine?
Yeah, Lorraine, sorry.
You like her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like them.
I just read through the comments. Yeah, that makes sense that there's more hauntings in the east. I agree about the negativity. There's a point in the video where she said it's because those people have turned away from God, but I think it's all about energy, in my opinion.
Cute argument at the end.
Yeah, that was really cute. knowing how bad the relationships are in this household, this house will be haunted.
That was all the videos we were watching today.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite video? I really liked this one.
Yeah, I just wish the quality was slightly better.
Well, it is an older video.
Yeah.
I think she aged gracefully, in my opinion. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like she aged gracefully. So there was this part where they talked about grieving makes it more difficult for the dead to move on. And I was just talking to my friend about that, because in like a Filipino funeral superstition is not to cry because the dead can't move on. And so my relatives would kind of get upset at each other if anyone shows any sort of grieving during funerals. So my mom tried really hard not to cry at her mother's funeral because she cried at my uncle's funeral. I actually heard of that Ed Warren, he lived in a haunted house when he was really young. Like, I don't remember the exact age, but it was around 11 years old for a few years. And so he vowed that he would help anyone who ended up in that situation. And Lorraine, she experienced her abilities early on in life where she saw lights around people. So I thought that was pretty cool that they both had experiences and they found each other.
Based on haunting in Connecticut off of it. 2 or 3 were mine, since they made it hard to believe it was real, but also want to believe it was real. You know what I mean? I know what you mean. It's normal to grieve for a month. You hate that. Yeah, every culture. It's so crazy to think of how every culture is almost like vastly different, have their own traditions and things like that. Pretty interesting. Maybe we could share it. Explore that sometime. Funeral stuff. I don't know.
My friend from Trinidad, she mentioned that a Hindu superstition that they have. She's not Hindu, but it kind of was integrated into her culture, where you have to walk backwards after a funeral so the dead won't follow you home. I thought that was interesting.
And I liked watching those interviews. I do like our movies where we watch on Discord, but I like also being able to watch it on the same screen, you know?
Like being able to talk about it, like taking breaks in between the videos and talking about it. It feels more interactive with you guys, in my opinion. Sometimes
No, you.
I just don't like talking over the movie if someone is experiencing it, like seriously experiencing it for the first time. Some of the people in chat are experiencing it for the first time. Not really much of a reactor in the way that Cersei's more of the entertainer, and I'm just getting started in this.
I always talk over movies. I can't help it. But yeah, we're definitely doing more watch parties. We would like to do something like this again where we just watch videos.
If we do this again, I would like to hear feedback on ways you think we could improve or improve the general experience.
Yeah. And for updates, you can check out our YouTube channel. It will say when our next live stream is, which is Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern. And also you can check out Discord. In our we have a channel specifically for news on when we're streaming, if we have any new uploaded videos. And if you want to get tagged in updates, just let me know and I'll give you a role so that you can get tagged in updates. And also on Instagram and Twitter, I'll be posting as much as possible to remind people when we're streaming or when we're having new videos. And you guys can give us suggestions too, or feedback, or share your spooky stories in this link right here. There's all that information. So far we got 2 spooky stories that I'm gonna make videos about, and you can be anonymous if you want to, just sharing your experiences that you believe was genuinely paranormal, or maybe it could be someone you know experience.
Thanks for the support and feedback, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. We really like you guys hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. Like, for me, I think our whole goal here is just, there's just a bunch of horror movies Angel wants me to see, and I think it's been fun just, sharing that experience with all of you guys. We don't really have, like, I'm not trying to get famous or anything, we're just enjoying ourselves, you know? Know what I mean? Really cool to have you guys here. We'll probably be ending shortly. But so we're thinking next Sunday we will do another watch party where we stream the movie on Discord, or you could watch it on your own on Netflix, and then on YouTube we'll stream our reactions and chat about it. And we'll also chat about the movie after the movie. But we'll first make a poll. I'll post it on Discord and social media and see what you guys are interested in watching first. Thanks,
Glad you
Witcher.
had fun.
And Rockman and Monkey, thank you guys. And Chroma, thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. But yeah, we're always open to feedback and suggestions and things like that. Did you want to talk about anything before we end the stream, Angel? Thank you,
Think
Turtles. I really appreciate you being here. Appreciate you all.
I think I covered everything I wanted to mention.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting watching the real life interviews. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. I still feel like I haven't really gotten the connection of how the nun is sort of connected to it. To the second Conjuring.
Still don't know if I believe it 100% or not. About Pong. Oh, Nin, you and your Pong. Nin is also Filipino, and Matrix is in here earlier, and he's also Filipino. Got a lot of Filipinos.
Can you post links in the community post on YouTube? I'll do that yet.
No, we can't until we get 500 subscribers, I believe.
Yeah.
That's
Well, YouTube limits features you can use depending on how many subscribers you have. And I think you have to have at least 500 for you to have the community post feature.
It's gonna be a while.
But that would be a good suggestion if we were able to do that.
Yeah, we would definitely do that. But I have been uploading, saying stream coming soon, and it will say the day and all that. So.
Mangabi. Did you say something? I didn't catch it.
No, it's just it's funny because we have a lot of long pauses.
I'm sorry, I'm just like so low energy. I don't know how you do the whole night thing, night streaming thing.
It's easier when I'm actually doing something. If I'm just sitting here talking, I struggle.
We were just like out in the sun all day, and that just, I don't know, makes me tired.
I had fun. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We're gonna end the stream, but yes, definitely follow us on Discord and other social media for updates. And keep an eye out on YouTube when our next stream is, which is 11 p.m. Eastern next Sunday.
And of course, you know I will send that to you.
Yes, keep a lookout on the poll for what we're watching next Sunday, guys.
Thank you guys for being here. I had fun.
Thank you guys. I also had fun. Have a great night, guys. Have a great week. Appreciate you. Good night, everyone. Bye.